inside of me. You better watch out if your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy. To be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets claws real big, gets off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score. Never getting bored, that's the blood and gold. Always wanting more freedom from the source. They don't really innocent until they feel the force of blood. And if you start shit, you be hard-lived in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you left scars ripped. You be chewed up and discarded.
And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. There's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. There's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. dreams. I push a mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. Oh man, I am so achy. Oh, I feel so achy. I don't know about you guys, but man, I'm very, very achy. Today was a very horrible day. When is it a very good day? Not yet. It's not a good day yet, but today was very hectic because we had to unbury our cars from the Snowmageddon, the fake generic. I guess it was generated by the U.S. government. Is the government against us? Like, why do they continue to spray the skies before these storms happen? And then we get this fake ass snowstorms that comes through. Like the snow doesn't even feel real. It feels fake. It feels like it just doesn't feel like a snowball. Like I made a snowman and I did a video. Trust me, YouTube is already suppressing me. Holy shit. I had this video up for like over 4 hours and I only had 4 people watch the video. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's impossible. Like I get over hundreds of people that watch my shorts. And I only had 4 people watch because of my snowman that I actually burnt the snowman. Like it has like burnt marks on it. It was just the weirdest thing, and I want to show that video. So, without further ado, it's a little video that I did, a little short, and I want us to watch. So let's set this up, and we're gonna go here, but we're gonna go first here because I think this is the most important little thing that we gotta watch. Is a little presentation that I did. So I cannot make this any bigger than what it is. They switched this. They changed it around. They used to make this bigger so you could remove all this part out. But some reason they took it out and you get this little screen. So here we go with the little screen. It's a 3-minute video. Here's another video to test if my snowman that I created would melt. This is from Winter Storm Fern, aka Winter Storm Benjamin. I did this test last night and the snowman wouldn't melt. So we're gonna hit it again with my torch and a long extended lighter, and we're gonna try to get this fella to melt. So let's see if we can get him to melt. First, we're gonna start off with the torch. And we're gonna try to melt him. You can see the torch is on. We're gonna try to melt him. I'm sticking it like right on him, and he ain't melting. Now, is this bioengineered storm that we got here? I don't know if what else to do here. Hit it up with the regular flames. Gonna put it nice and close up to him. And as you can see, it's not melting. It's not melting. Let's put it at the base. And I'm like putting it like so close to him. And it's just not melting. What is going on here? What's in the snow that's not, it's making it, look, the snow is burning. It's not even, it's burning.
Oh, you burnt the snow. Look at that.
Melting. It's burning.
I'm leaving scuff marks, like burn marks.
I'm hitting it with the flames. Look, even the hat is burning instead of the snow.
Even the hat, I burned a little bit of the hat.
Yeah, and it smells funny too. What in the world are they doing to our world? This bioengineered craziness that they sprayed up with the chemtrails before the storm. 2 days before the storm, they were spraying here like crazy. And I made a little snowman. I tested it last night to see if it will burn. All you got was like burn marks. Like, how do you get burn marks on snow? Like, I don't understand. It doesn't melt, but it has burn marks. Look, I'm hitting it with the torch. Even more snow back here. Look. See, this is starting to go a little bit. Just a little bit. And this snow is a little wetter now because it's like warmer now. So the snow is like melting. But as you can see, it's just like nothing.
It's just, I don't know. We're living in a weird world, and I don't know what to say anymore. But please like, subscribe, and yeah, let's figure this out together because I'm so confused. That is the truth. And that was a video that I posted up a few hours ago. And guess how many people watched that video? 12 people. 12. And I've had that video up for a few hours now. Approximately 2 hours I've had that video up. And I've only had 12 people that watched my shorts. It's ridiculous. That how am I not being suppressed by YouTube? Of course they're suppressing me. They're not showing, they don't want to push it out because it's the truth, right? My other videos that I put up, I have two other ones. Actually, it's a total of 4. The very first one was a part 1 out of 3. I only got 21 people. 21 people. 2, 1, that's it. On part 1. Part 2 got 441 people to watch. 441. So how do you justify 21 and 441 and then part 3? Oh Lord, this is, I don't know what's going on with all this crazy shit. Part 3 got 222 views. Right? The last video I put up, it was just to give it a test to see, if it melts, and it didn't melt. And I put the torch to it, I put the fire to it. All it did was scuff up the snowman. You want to see it? Let's bring out Pepito. Let's want to get Pepito because I named him Pepito. Pepito. We're gonna bring Pepito here on My Mind Over Your Matter, and you're gonna watch it live. Here we go. Let's go ahead and get Pepito. Oh my God, I can't believe he's going to make an appearance again. Let's go get him. Pepito is he's dying. Pepito's dying. He's become anorexic. Let's see if I could. This is Pepito now. There he is. And has it melted? No, it has melted, but it's not melting like water. Like, it's just evaporating. Like, this is nuts. So Pepito's coming back, and you could feel it. It's like it just feels weird. It just doesn't feel like snow. It doesn't feel like a snowball. I don't know. This is we're living in a weird world. But that's Pepito. He's only gonna last a few more. Actually, I'm gonna toss him in the fry pan and just put him to rest. Can't believe they put that fake ass snow, and we're going through this bullshit, and it just doesn't feel right. Like, even to the touch, it doesn't feel right. I don't know if you ever like packed a snowball before and had snowball fights. This here feels more like styrofoam. Like, it feels like a styrofoam type of snowball because you could compress it, and then it's like it feels very styrofoam like. I don't know if that makes any sense, but let's go ahead and have someone talk about it a little bit more than I can. So we're gonna go right to Melody King. She did an episode today about the snow not melting properly. Something's not right with the snow. Let's watch.
So we got to start talking again about the geoengineering of our weather, guys. This is a real thing. Okay. This is a known thing. I want to walk you through a few videos of this though. So this comes from Geoengineering Watch. Yes, there is a Geoengineering Watch. Take a listen to this.
Massive storms, snow and ice now span 1,300 miles as power outages mount and roads close. That's from CNN News. From Fox Weather, crippling ice threatens millions in historic winter storm path with major power outages and travel issues. Now consider this former headline from ABC. Artificial snow snowstorm brings chaos to Beijing. So the Chinese can routinely engineer winter weather mayhem and the USA can't? Really? If you think chemical ice nucleation isn't a thing, think again. Chemical ice nucleation is one of the biggest weapons in the climate engineering arsenal. It is imperative for this fact to be understood and acknowledged by anyone that is truly trying to expose and halt the climate engineering operations. What is chemical ice nucleation and how is it used for climate engineering? Energy absorbing elements create an endothermic or energy absorbing reaction. As this lab demonstration clearly shows, such materials have an absolutely profound effect on precipitation behavior and can convert what should have been liquid precipitation into frozen precipitation. Endothermic materials are specifically named in climate engineering patents. The weather modification patent shown is expressly for a chemical ice nucleation process. This patent was filed over a half century ago. For how many decades have we been exposed to completely engineered weather that official sources are still trying to convince the population is only natural?
Now, this next clip, this comes from Jimmy Dore's show. If you guys haven't seen it already, let me play it for you because it's really good and exposing what is going on.
A temperature gradient like that with any natural hydrological cycle that is engineered top to bottom.
So explain to me what I'm looking at and how this show proves that this is an engineered weather pattern that's happening right now. This huge snowstorm that's cutting across the United States and this cold snap. You're telling me that this map. So tell me what this map shows us.
If you went back 20 years, you would never, or 20 years or further, you would never find anything that even remotely resembled that map. Weather moves in the northern hemisphere from west to east because of the Coriolis effect of the planet, because of the spin.
Right.
So how can it be record warm in the west and record cold in the east?
Exactly.
That's patently wrong. So they high pressure dome with free.
Let me pause because I will always be very clear about this. There is no spin. The Bible clearly says that the earth is fixed and immovable. That is how God created it, with a firmament above that separates the waters from above from below. Not only that, but it also says that the earth sits on pillars. That is biblical earth, not flat earth. They came up with all this other nonsense, the spinning through space and all those different things, to hide the truth about God, to hide the truth about God's word. Okay. Doesn't mean we don't see like normal weather patterns moving from west to east and all of that, but understand clearly, okay, if they will lie about all the things that they've lied about and they do this geoengineering, understand they have lied about everything. And in fact, I want to do a video just kind of doing like a little bit of a reaction on Ashley Hayes' latest video. If you have not seen it, she's done a great series on biblical earth, walking you through the Bible where it's very clear. There's also scientific evidence, like the list goes on and on. But she just recently did one on our founding fathers and how they were all Masons. These were not Christian men of God. In fact, Benjamin Franklin was a psychopathic serial killer. Like they found hundreds of bodies. These weren't for experiments, all in his basement. Like her latest video is so phenomenal. It requires me to do a whole separate video about this. And why am I telling you this? Because they have lied about our entire history. Not a space agency is part of the PSYOP. And even Stefan Burns, okay? He's a geophysicist. He does a lot with the weather and space and all of that. His latest video has come out and talked about how NASA is hiding things and they're lying. And this is a guy who's all into that stuff. It's like his latest video, and it's pointing back to Three Eye Atlas. And he's so perplexed. He did like an 1.5-hour video talking about why is NASA lying about all this stuff. So understand, I want that to be crystal clear, because the great deception is not just the things that are being uncovered now. I mean, our entire history has been a deception, including the founding of this country. You don't have to believe it. These are literal facts that most people just have not pulled out. They don't teach us these things. So it just seems foreign and weird, and I don't understand. I'm telling you, this is what it is. So I just have to give that disclaimer because I never want anything that I know is demonstrably false to be out there. But it does not mean the information we're about to hear about them geoengineering the weather is false. Okay. You can some things that like we got to sort through the weeds, kind of, right? You got to eat the meat and spit out the bones, or spit out the fat. One of those two, depends.
Frequency transmission facilities, which are weapons of mass destruction, like HARP in Alaska, they can superheat the ionosphere, creates a massive expanding bulge in the atmosphere up and down. That creates a high pressure dome in the northern hemisphere, which spins the upper level wind currents clockwise. So picture that red spot of above normal or record high temperatures as being a high pressure dome that rotates clockwise, rotating all the moisture from the Pacific around it, or low pressure zone below it, rotating below it. So they're spinning the moisture around the West, chemically nucleating it. And those are patented processes, by the way. These are endothermic reacting materials. Chinese government openly announced they're doing exactly this on a massive scale. All mainstream media covered it. If you bring it up here, they marginalize you. So they're seeding this cloud moisture with climate engineering aircraft, not the single engine propeller driven kind, but the kind that dump 100 tons in a single payload. And those endothermic reacting elements, in many cases, because this moisture is now so warm, it's reaching the surface, Jimmy, before it sets up. And that's why you're about to have massive ice storms, hugely destructive ice storms, because these materials aren't setting up until they reach the surface. And again, that's not natural either, to have an ice storm transition zone between the record warm migrating moisture and the eventual various forms of frozen chemically nucleated material that fall. That is an
So you have that, and I wanted to show you this. You guys notice this? I have, oh my gosh, probably hundreds of videos at this point, but this popped up, so I thought I would just show you this. And it says, do your skies start off like this most days, then 2 hours later end up like this? Let me rewind this so you can see it fully. Have you noticed the chemtrails all throughout the sky, these weird clouds? I mean, guys, we're going to do a video where I'm just going to just show you video after video, picture after picture of this craziness. You can go outside on most days and you will see that your sky looks like this.
That's crazy. Man, I get a lot.
None of this is natural, and there is nothing they can say to me to tell me that it is. I don't trust anything that the government tells me. Not a single thing. Not a single thing.
I'm with
like if you still believe in anything that they're talking about, you got to wake up, open your eyes. The deception is here. It says that Satan is the god of this world. He's not sitting in hell just twiddling his fingers, waiting for people to show up and he can bring them down. And no, he is roaming back and forth, to and fro on this earth, to and fro like a roaring lion, seeking who he may destroy. The Bible says there is a great deception. This has been, meaning we can't comprehend the level of deception that has been our entire lives to program us, to make us deny reality, deny what our eyes and ears are telling us. And then if you speak out, like you said, you are blacklisted, you're cast out, you're made fun of, you're one of those weirdos, you wear tinfoil. Well, then let me wear tinfoil.
Mm-hmm.
Let me wear tinfoil, because I would rather be ostracized than to be blind and to be deceived by the enemy, to be deceived by this world, to be deceived by the evil that runs this world. They will do any and everything to destroy us in God's creation. Now, they claim that they're geoengineering things to block out the sun, God's creation, which is in the firmament, that they want to block it out because it's harmful to us. The sun has never been harmful to us. They are the ones that want that, because in these last days, we're supposed to be looking at what? What are we commanded to in Luke 21 to look at? Jesus himself. He lists a whole bunch of stuff. And then you get to the point where he says specifically, look at the sun, the moon, and the stars. Look up at the sky until you will see the signs and wonders in those things. That's when you see these signs and wonders, know that the time of his return is near. We are commanded to look at the sun, moon, and stars. So this is why this matter, what is happening in our sky. And this is why they are so hell-bent to deceive us, poison us, to make us not believe reality, to always, oh, that's Starlink. That's not really an orb. That's not really happening. They always come up with some weird thing. Oh, we've always had these plasmoids. It's like, huh? Never have we had these things, but they try to trick you and try to say, well, maybe you're just not remembering correctly. We remember and we know. But getting back to this, so this is also from Geoengineering Watch. Let's take a listen.
The greatest lie ever perpetrated on populations all over the world is the condensation trail lie. What we're seeing in our skies is not condensation. It's sprayed particulate dispersions with very few exceptions.
They shouldn't be there. Jet engines burn clean. So if there's anything coming out of them, it's an additive.
They're absolutely not contrails. Contrails do not linger, dissipate, and go into cloud coverage, period, in the report.
And I kept saying to people, you know, what is this? Because now the sky is no longer blue. It's starting to turn gray. And what I found was kind of like, it was not socially acceptable. You know, we're all going to pretend this is not really happening. And I thought, oh, this is very bad.
Most are unfamiliar with a science term called global dimming. That term refers to the amount of direct sunlight that no longer reaches the surface of the planet due to light scattering particles that are building up in the atmosphere. And although many of these particles are from industrialized pollution, the larger majority are from the ongoing climate engineering solar radiation management operations. This engine, a high bypass turbofan jet engine, this is the engine that is on all military tankers and all commercial carriers, is in essence a jet-powered fan. 90% of the air that moves through this engine is non-combusted. This engine, by design, is nearly incapable of producing any condensation trail except under rare and extreme circumstances. And again, we have film footage of aircraft flying at altitude with nozzles visible, turning on and off. That is the end of the argument.
I've seen that before.
Since even before man could fly, there was an effort to try to modify the weather. We have weather modification patents going back 100 years plus.
Oh, and we can get into us using planes versus what we used to use. Understand, there is fallen angel, demonic technology that has been here since the beginning. This is told to us in the book of Enoch. But see, they removed the book of Enoch from the Bible, but the book of Enoch is referenced throughout the Bible. But understand, they were taught, it literally says it in the book of Enoch, they were taught the technology of weather modification. They were taught the technology of abortion. They taught women how to beautify themselves. They taught men how to make weapons of war. This is why you see on ancient temples in Egypt and all throughout the world and civilizations where they are depicting helicopters, tanks, cars, crafts, spacecrafts. There is no outer space. These are demonic beings. Understand, we live in a spiritual world. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. Guys, you have got to take this serious. A lot of us, aren't really absorbing this, but the word of God is living and breathing. God did not waste a single word. If he said it, he meant it, and we need to pay attention to it. And more than ever, right now, those words, those things, those are what are helping to guide us and to navigate us through this great deception that we have all been under, that they have forced on us. But here's another whistleblower. There's a ton of them. Let me play this.
So we're with Kristen Megan. She's a military veteran, right?
Yes, I was in the U.S. Air Force for 9 years.
Wow. And you came out and blew the whistle on geoengineering, things that you witnessed were going on. Can you give us the real nutshell?
Absolutely. Basically, I had heard of what many people know as the term chemtrails. And I worked in a job called bioenvironmental engineering. And I thought that was insane. And why would we do something like that? Modify the weather by using hazardous materials in our atmosphere. So, and actually the process of trying to debunk it or disprove it, I realized it was actually coming right out of my office, as I was one of the people that was approving the chemicals. And it really shook the core of my oath. And I did a lot of sampling, did a lot of investigation, and I blew the whistle and I got out. And I've now used my credentials, my oath, and my powers for good to help people understand it's very real. It's now openly admitted. There are multiple forms of weather modification. I specifically found the one of stratospheric aerosol injection. And collectively around the globe, we have to understand that it is now being admitted because they're saying it's combating climate change. Well, the climate change we need to be worried about is man-made climate engineering, also known as geoengineering.
And when you say you had chemicals being pumped into the air, what kind of chemicals are they putting out that rain down on humanity, basically?
Nanoparticulate metals, like you had different sulfates and barium and strontium. I know it's probably changed over time. I know they use silver iodide for certain things, but these are the odd part of it was the quantities that I saw them coming in, the form that they were coming in. And it's the same type of materials that I was trying to engineer out of the workplace to substitute with safer materials. And when you notice that what's called a safety data sheet, the information about a chemical of what personal protective equipment to wear, how do you dispose of it, how do you pack it to ship it? When key information is missing, I ask questions, and my questions led to demonization, and I knew I found something I shouldn't have.
That's insane. So these metals are basically toxic for the humans, I would presume, or?
Yes, because it also has aluminum, and a lot of people will tell you, well, these things aren't horrible in small quantities. It's not small quantities, because when you are putting things above us, the dissipation rates are dependent on weather and climate, but it's getting into the food, it's getting into the soil. And around the world, these wastewater treatment plants, when it comes to pharmaceuticals or these toxicants is what they're called, they are not able to filter them out. So if you're growing organic food, we're going to go back to the plexiglass barriers on our plants. I mean, it's horrible. That's why you can ban it anywhere. We've had states in the United States ban it. That is great to get the ball rolling, but people really need to wake up to it, irrespective of any political party. It's not okay. And you're seeing a huge increase in neurodegenerative issues like Alzheimer's. It's really difficult for people with respiratory issues and asthma. And people are wondering why they have allergies 24/7, 365.
And I liked what you said about that climate change or the change we experience in weather. Often we can't disconnect that from these geoengineering activities. Do you want to say something more about that? I mean, how do we feel that? Is there proof or so that is definitely coming from that?
Yes, there are places that openly admitted it. Remember Dubai? And then when people got upset, they retracted it, but the can was already opened. And the issue is, I know this sounds silly, but when you watch movies with time change, they say if you do something and something changes, it changes the ripple throughout time. If you are modifying the weather, you are messing with Mother Nature. And meteorology is a very, very thorough study. And I do know a lot of it because of my profession of plotting hazards, but it does not make sense when you are altering nature where things are not naturally supposed to occur. We had massive flooding in California, and we have a system called HARP that is in the United States. And the same people who demonized me 5-10 years ago are now going, wow, because they're finding it's openly admitted in all of our U.S. documents. The U.S. is absolutely not the only country doing it.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, thank you very much for coming out on that and letting humanity know what's going on. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you.
Like I told you guys, if you dig, the information's out there, and anyone who was a whistleblower, they were demonized. And we've seen that. I even show you that with the Somali fraud going on with the TSA and everyone else. I've had several whistleblowers. I've shown you the former Navy chief of counterterrorism. I played that video where he blew the whistle nearly a decade ago about what was going on. Hundreds of millions being smuggled to terrorist group through TSA from Minnesota, these Somali groups. Not only that, I've played other whistleblowers. Guys, this is reality. So they were called crazy and pushed to the side, ostracized. In fact, that over 1,000 people who were blowing the whistle in Minnesota over the years, they will lose their job, their rank. They would be criminalized. They were even threatened to their children to be taken away. So they just push these people to the side to silence them. Why do you think so many countries now want to ban X? They don't want us talking about these things. They don't want us sharing it. But I wanted this is the last thing I want to show you. It says and I have many videos like this, guys, about the fog, about everything. It says geoengineered snowstorm NYC, Midtown Manhattan. So in pick one, it's showing that the snow feels like a very cold cotton balls. It has a crunching sound and did not melt. And then in the first video here, it says it did not melt during the count while in a stovetop flame. I was surprised.
It put the lighter to it. Look, there's more people doing it. I did it before. I did it yesterday.
100, 3 100, 4 100, 5 100, 6 100.
I did the
7
same thing.
100.
It wouldn't melt.
8 100, 9 100, 10 100.
I did the same with a lighter.
Did you see that? I have videos. I
wouldn't
told you guys
melt.
with the snow. It looks like
It was
styrofoam.
burning.
And
The
it
snow
doesn't
was
feel. It
burning.
doesn't act like snow. So many people are posting that. Also, the fog that was all over the place, all over the world, but really it was on the West Coast a lot, where people were collected in jars. And it would melt down into this goo, and it was clearly a chemical. People are actually now sending them off to companies to have them tested. So I'm going to be giving you more of that information. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, because there is so much to get to. But with that, I will see you guys on the next one.
It's crazy, Melody. I know. I showed you guys yesterday. I did this experiment live on the channel, and I was showing you guys, like, something told me to test out this. No, something. That's how my abilities work. You know, my abilities, my capabilities, and how my psychic. Something tells me, and I just do it. And something just told me, like, make a snowman and burn it, and see if it melts. I recorded it. I was like, no, I'm gonna record this, and I recorded it. I made it into a 3-part series and an extra, because I did an extra one today. And I put the flame to the snowman. It would not melt at all. I put the torch, and I put the extended lighter that I have. And today when I did it, all it did was leave burn marks on the snow. It left burn marks. How do you get burn marks on snow that's supposedly ice? Don't ice melt with ice, like with fire? Last time I checked, ice melts with fire. So how come it did not melt when I made my snowman here in Connecticut and he wouldn't melt? It just makes you wonder what in the is going on. What is truly going on? And if you want to watch those videos, you could go over to my shorts and go in my shorts. No, not in my shorts, you nasties. But go over to YouTube Shorts and check out my little series that I did with this 3-part series with an extra video that I did today. First, I wanted to do a daytime video and to just do like a confirmation video, like to see if it would burn. And sure enough, it would not melt. And all it did was scuffle the snow with burn marks. My snowman had burn marks on its face. Something's not right. It's just something's not right. All right, guys, we're gonna go nonstop for the next few videos because we do got some of the weather videos, and I would definitely like to show this. So let me. Okay, I gotta do a little. Seems like Bloomfield. That's where my friend lives. She got 19.3 inches of snow in that area. Definitely want to check that out because my friend lives there. Like that's that's the one I usually go and I have a cookout. That's where Sparky. If you go to my shorts again, you'll see Sparky, and Sparky is a beautiful baby boy doggy my friend has, and he's been featured on some of my videos, especially the Thanksgiving with the Christmas tree and so forth. And yeah, check him out. He's a good one. It's a great video. But I'm just dumbfounded by this weird ass snow. It's just I have so many questions and very little answers. Like, because we're not getting like proper answers. But let's check out some of this news here coming out of Bloomfield from Channel 3 in Connecticut.
Our team coverage continues with First Alert meteorologist Tyler Hughes. Tyler was sent to one of the hardest hit towns, Bloomfield. Tyler, just how much snow did Bloomfield get?
Hey, Cassidy. Well, Bloomfield came in at 19.3 inches, which was certainly one of the higher snowfall totals we've seen during this event. Of course, you've heard Marks talk about 20 inches in East Cornwall, over 20 inches up in Falls Village, but 19.3, not a whole lot less here in Bloomfield. We've been seeing some folks out and about right now.
Oh
some
no!
light snow
Caleb,
falling.
damn,
But,
you both
some
are
of the
sick.
people we've seen here at the
I saw the
Bloomfield
videos
Shopping Center are
later
plow
in the
drivers, and
night.
they have been really
Saw the
working
videos
hard
later in the night.
throughout
Okay, cool.
this
Thank you.
event. Plow drivers have been working around the clock with Winter Storm Benjamin, bringing over a foot of snow to most of the state. We caught up with a few who were getting parts to fix their snowblower so they could get back to work. They told us they have over 40 customers in the Bloomfield area.
We started last night, well, yesterday afternoon about 1 p.m. We went till about 10 p.m.
And so what time did you start this morning?
This morning we left around 6:30. I had to take a 5-hour nap.
My videos still have 12 views, and it's been on the short for 2 hours, and I only got 12 views.
All right. Well,
does not make
hopefully he
sense.
gets an even longer nap
The numbers
after
don't make
this
sense.
storm is over. But it's not just the plow drivers that plow, people's driveways and things like that. It's also the town public works departments are out working hard to clear the roadways. And here alone, the public works department says they're responsible for 110 miles
I think
of
NyQuil
roadways
came out with a new
3
flu
miles of
medicine.
sidewalks here in Bloomfield. 110 miles of roadways and 3 miles of sidewalks. And you see some of the plows going behind us here right now. As for the snow, it's lightened up considerably
miles of
even
sidewalk
since
is
we were
not
here
a
at
lot.
1 o'clock. It's even lighter snow now. We've
warm
seen
in
on
this
and off
ice
snow
storm.
showers, but the
Oh,
bulk of the
I got some of
accumulation
the reports
has
from the ice
already
storm. I got
occurred
more.
at the moment. For now, we're live.
Got a
with
lot
First
to
Alert
watch.
meteorologist Tyler Hughes in Bloomfield, Channel 3 Eyewitness News. I'll send it back to you guys.
Thanks.
It's definitely going to be a great show. I got a lot for us to watch. I got a really good lineup. I do got a lot from the weather that just happened and future weather that's going to be happening. And then I got some really good content for a really good lineup for tonight. So patience, and we're going to get through this together. Man, what a wild time we're living in. What a wild world we're living in. Here we go. Out of Boston.
Major story of the night. The worst of the snow is over now, but we do still have a little more of the storm to deal with, as you can see here. Live look at the radar. Snow still falling across
just
a
came
lot
out of
the
nowhere
area.
here.
And that
in
snow,
Boston.
David, is just
Look at that.
piling on top of the more than 20 inches of snow in some places. The Merrimack
How
Valley
does
and
that
northern
happen?
Worcester County considered the jackpot zones this time around.
And cleaning up almost 2 feet of snow, not easy. People were out there early this morning digging out as crews work to plow the roads and make the streets safe. It will take a few days for a lot of folks to get all of that snow out of the way, and it's not going to be a ton of fun.
No, it is not. I mean, maybe for the kids, not for the rest of us. There are a number of school closings that we're going to make sure that you are on top of. They are on your screen as well. They include Boston and Worcester. Now, we have a team of reporters tonight covering this storm. And of course, we want to bring our chief meteorologist, Eric Fisher, into the picture here, who has been on top of this from the very start, making sure you're prepared. Eric, this storm is not even done with us quite yet.
A few more hours to go here.
I feel like
This is
he's
that
missing
parting
a
shot we were
rose,
talking about. There'll be
like,
that
on his
last
jacket.
backlash that would come through this evening before we can completely say goodbye to it. We've seen it start to fill in here over the last hour or so in Worcester County, coming down a pretty good clip. I was checking the cam at Wachusett Mountains. Seems like people are having a pretty good evening there. And still coming down at a good pace. Spencer, Worcester, up toward Leominster and Townsend. Gardner as well. So along Route 2, some slow, slick travel this evening. Some of that steadier snow has also been blossoming around Manchester and Hooksett, traveling east across 93. We've also had a little bit of ocean effect snow coming down around Plymouth and heading down toward Bourne-Sagamore this evening. So big picture, this is the back edge of it. You can see how it's starting to flare up. This will pivot to the east over the next few hours, and then we can say goodbye. So we'll hold on to that snow until about 9 to 10 o'clock at the coastline, and then it's moving its way offshore. We'll clear out after that, and we'll start the day at least with some sunshine tomorrow. We're expecting about 1 to 3 inches from this last parting shot that's moving on through. So I know it's been a long day, long couple of days of cleaning up. There's going to be one more pass that has to take place tonight before we can say goodbye to a very, very significant storm here in the Boston area and really all across the country. Just a huge breadth of this storm system. Overnight lows, they'll be back in the single digits. Some gusty northwest winds behind that snow as well. So we wake up tomorrow morning about 5 in Fitchburg, 9 in Boston, 0 in Keene. Nashville is down to 2, around 10, 11 in Hyannis. That's how we start. We're going to have bright sunshine to start the day, but clouds will tend to fill in after that. There is a chance for a passing flurry or snow shower tomorrow afternoon. But if you're looking for melting to give us a helping hand, it is really not in the forecast. We are in the coldest stretch of the winter, just around 20 or right on through the rest of this week for highs. And 20s on Saturday. I think our next chance for freezing is around Monday, a week from today. And David and Courtney coming up, there is a chance for another storm this weekend. We'll talk about the potential there.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes. Eric, thank you. Crews have been working overtime to try to clear the snow. But like this street in Charlestown, some are just too narrow to easily navigate at this point.
WBZ's Louisa Moeller joins us live in Winthrop tonight. And Louisa, there is just nowhere for all of this snow to go.
Courtney, David, this is a 1.6 square mile dense peninsula town. And the only place for the snow to go is up into big piles like this one right next to me. And if you look down the street, it's just pile, driveway, pile, then driveway, then pile, then driveway. I did speak with a plow driver today. He said they're not at the point where they actually have to pick up the snow and dump it elsewhere, but they are certainly doing everything they can to push it anywhere they can. When Colby Dassaw starts up his snowblower on a day like this, he's the neighbor you want nearby in Winthrop.
We saw like this lady over here was shoveling. She had no snowblower, so I'm like, it takes me 5 minutes to get over there, help her snow blow it out, and I do what I can.
And that's all you can do in a densely populated town of just over 19,000 people with windy, narrow streets that just got a delivery of roughly 1.5 feet of snow. Just ask Zach Cook. Where do you put the snow? Like, I'm sure you keep getting plowed in.
Yeah, we're going to basically make like an icicle ice luge right here. And that way when the kids get back, they can play in the snow.
We saw plows navigating the streets, increasing the massive snowbanks, and some made even higher by drifting snow pushed by the wind coming off the ocean.
The drifts were really what did us in. The stairs, front and back of the house, were just covered.
Everyone here needs to work together. Like these firefighters we saw clearing hydrants, the icy remnants of an early morning blaze on Somerset Street, proving how crucial that simple exercise is. As the cleanup continues in the shadow of Logan Airport's massive plowing operation, folks here know it's best to keep a positive attitude.
Country going through a lot worse than what we are right here, so I'm not going to complain.
So, there's no more snow falling, and it does feel like there's a little snow blowing off these mounds into our faces. There's a parking ban. It remains in effect, and school is canceled here tomorrow so that crews can come and widen these narrow streets the best that they possibly can. Live in Winthrop, Louisa Moeller, WBZ News.
Louisa, thank you. And from Winthrop to Andover, where they received more than 20 inches of snow.
WBZ's Aaron Parsegian has been in Andover since the storm started yesterday. And how's it looking out there tonight, Aaron?
Well, David and Courtney, it's not to the rate we saw during the worst parts of the storm on Sunday, but the snow is still falling here in Andover, nearly 20 inches at this point. And you can see just downtown, it's stacked really high all along the sidewalks here. Folks around here are experiencing both the pain and pleasure of dealing with this massive snowfall. The scraping of plow trucks and roar of snowblowers echoing through Andover Monday, where cars were left buried in the snowdrift and neighbors spent several hours digging out from nearly 20 inches of powder.
We haven't had that in a while. Yeah. You know what I mean? This accumulation, this is pretty good. Yeah, this you feel. I'm tired,
For Lawrence's Felix Garcia, it's a feeling that brings him back to the President's Day storm more than 20 years ago.
2003, look like they sent in 2003. We have to go clean the snow. No choice. But we almost done now. I'm down here. I gotta go help my neighbor now. They older. I go help them to clean it.
The helping spirit alive and well in this corner of Essex County.
Could be much worse.
No one embodies it more than Sam, a well-known friendly face of Andover and owner of this Gulf gas station, one of the few places open Monday morning.
At 6, had my coffee, help out cleaning. Gotta keep going, right?
It's just another day in paradise.
He says his trademark phrase still rings true even buried in snow.
This is too easy. You guys should lucky to have snow, rain, snow, and all this. That's why keep the world going, right?
And for kids with the day off from school, the snow keeps the fun going too.
It's fun, but the snow's it's thick, so it's hard to go down a little.
Meantime, plow crews have been on the roads really nonstop since the start of this storm, and they made significant progress here. The roads are consistently better than what we saw on Sunday, but they're still urging people have caution if they do venture out. Live in Andover tonight, Aaron Parseghian, WBZ News.
Aaron, thank you.
Because you never know when you're going to need it. You know, I pop out that shovel and try to get cleaning.
Well, the roads are clearing as the snow winds down, but the DOT still wants everybody to slow down. Your reporter, Sam Smink, live right now on the Berlin Turnpike with more on how things are shaping up out there tonight. Sam.
Well, Mark, as Mark Dixon was saying, it's actually gotten a lot colder just within the last hour here. So you might start seeing some of that slush turn to ice. Even though it's pretty clear from the Berlin Turnpike and other state roads, you definitely want to slow down. Don't crowd the plow or the car in front of you. They are words to live by as DOT works to clear the roads following Winter Storm Benjamin. Hundreds of crews will be on the roads for the next several hours. Major roadways are clear with some secondary roads still to go. When it comes to digging out your own car and driveway, those living in Hartford County had mixed feelings.
This morning, I had to shovel 3 of my cars out of the snow. Yeah, it's horrible. Plus, the plow trucks, when they come
3
and
cars.
they throw all the snow back onto
Why
the
did you
cars
need 3
and all
cars
that stuff.
for?
Yeah, so it's horrible. It's really bad.
As my family, we
I don't feel bad for him.
So we're fortunate enough where we have
I
the
think 1
equipment
car
to,
is enough.
deal with this
Why
sort of thing.
3?
And we're just trying to be good neighbors. You know, my father right now, as I'm over here trying to do this sidewalk, he's in the neighbor's driveway and the no one is no and so forth. We're just, trying to help out the neighborhood.
Now, if you're going to head out on the roads and you want to avoid road closures or accidents, DOT says that ctroads.org is always updating live information. So is our WFSB weather, our WFSB weather app and our app. For now, reporting live in Newington, your reporter, Sam Smink, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Sam, thank you very much.
I know exactly where she's at. Let's keep it moving.
And the storm, of course, has passed, but we're still cleaning up. It's going to take some time. News 8's Preston Sober is live in West Haven as everybody is trying to clear new pathways. Preston.
And that's absolutely right. Clearing efforts are going on all over West Haven where we are now. Take a look at this car here beside me. We're on Union Ave here in West Haven. You can just see this car just completely blanketed with snow on one side. Now, obviously, drivers are needing to dig their cars out, but also snow plow crews have been out.
That's going to turn into a block of ice.
Cars stuck in an unforgiving snow, a scene you will find in West Haven. And once cars get out on the roads, conditions, they still aren't great, keeping an army of snowplow drivers hard at work.
Throughout the snowstorm, we've had as many as 28 drivers at one time.
This is the snow cleanup headquarters in West Haven, taking non-emergency calls and organizing removal across their city. Their plow drivers are hard at work since yesterday morning, with only a 4-hour break, and that was to sleep at City Hall.
They slept on emergency cots, yeah. And, we have them here for that reason. And it's not a good night's sleep. It's really just to get some rest, collect your thoughts. And we don't want people out on the road being tired. We want people being well rested.
The city says the operation is a coordinated effort from police to traffic crews. At City Hall, they can track where their plow drivers are and who is closest to an area of high need.
The storm is rough, but then the cleanup is just as, important and just as challenging.
Out on driveways, not many hands can be found without a shovel in them.
I've ordered this for about 3 hours now, nonstop. Midnight last night, snowboarders are going, people out here shoveling all night.
As some in West Haven just need to start their week.
I already took last night off. I can't afford to take another night off.
James Kelly cleared both his and his wife's car of snow. That was around a 45-minute job.
It's a lot. It's heavy.
You better take a break and you better drink water.
I'm not as young as I used to be.
Dehydrated.
Cleanup for the city will continue throughout the night on Monday into Tuesday.
Damn, the news crew's gonna help them.
All right, and just to take a look at the texture of this snow, just look how hard this stuff is. It's hard to even break apart. It's been freezing out here for so long. Yesterday, this was a very light, very powdery snow. I even jumped in a snow pile at one point yesterday. You couldn't do that today. You might have some back issues. There's still a parking ban going on here in West Haven. We're told that should be lifted at some point tomorrow if all the efforts go according to plan. Live in West Haven tonight, Preston Stober, News 8.
All right, keep it moving.
In Nashville, Tennessee are working to restore power after a thick coating of ice brought down trees and electrical lines there. The winter storm is being blamed for at least 3 deaths in the state. CBS News correspondent Nicole Valdez has more from Music City.
Hundreds of thousands of people are still without power in the Nashville area. We are in the teens right now, and it's only going to get colder tonight, potentially single-digit temperatures. So all the ice that you see on the trees and covering the road is not going anywhere. There are people here who are starting to feel
and I just drove the car right out
inside their homes. Some people in this neighborhood are telling me it's already gotten to about 45 degrees inside.
It wasn't so hard.
So many neighbors are trapped.
It looked
cars
bad, but
frozen solid,
it wasn't really that
and
hard.
roads too slick and dangerous to drive on. The city's utility company, Nashville Electric Services, they have been able to restore power for about 60,000 customers, but still so many people waiting to get the lights and really the heat back on as we dip into dangerously cold temperatures by tonight. That company says it is now doubling its workforce, trying to get to as many of the broken power lines as they can. But unfortunately,
I
the
still
ice and
only
these
have
trees
12
that are just weighing
viewers
down
on
the
the fucking
situation
short.
is
I
not
don't
making that
understand
job
that.
any easier. Back to you.
That should be
All right,
already
Nicole
like
Valdez,
over
thank
100,
you. The
200.
massive winter
I
storm
only
caused
have
huge travel
12
headaches across
views.
much of the country. Airlines are trying to
I'm
get
telling you,
back
I'm
on track
censored.
after canceling more than 15,000 flights over the weekend.
It's ridiculous.
And the disruption continues today. More than 4,700 have been canceled so far, with another 4,700 delayed. CBS News reporter Olivia Rinaldi going away from the White House today to go to the Reagan National Airport. Olivia, what's the situation there now?
Yeah, Lindsay, somehow they let me be inside today. I'm here at Reagan National Airport, where there are delays that are starting to accrue, namely for those Northeast airports. So think Boston, JFK, Newark, LaGuardia. They're still seeing a lot of delays. But to the south, Charlotte, Dallas, Atlanta, they're starting to pick up just a little bit. This is an American hub here at DCA, so they're starting to get some of those flights out. We're seeing traffic pick up here as well, a lot of foot traffic coming by. We even spoke with one airline pilot who came by a short while ago and said that his flight to Charlotte that he'll be flying on today is still on time. So bit of a mixed bag, but of course, as you mentioned, there's going to be just a backlog of flights that they're trying to get out of this airport and airports nationwide. There were 12,000 flights that were canceled on Sunday. That rivals the height of the pandemic when there were mass cancellations of flights. So there's certainly a lot that they have to do to kind of recover the lost operations from over the weekend. Not only to name that, but the bitter cold that is gripping the country. That is going to impact operations like baggage, loading baggage, de-icing the planes, fueling the planes. This is something that's going to continue for many, many days.
Olivia Rinaldi, thanks so much. Nearly 1 million power outages were reported at one point across the country as a result of the storm. According to CBS News data team's analysis of data from Fine Energy, there are still more than 650,000 people without power. Many of the outages are in the south, as you can see on this map, from Texas up to Kentucky.
All right, let's keep it moving.
Let's talk about one of those places. A look at some of the dangerous road conditions we saw yesterday in Mississippi. This is in Oxford. The crippling ice caused numerous trees to collapse, leaving them completely frozen on roads. Everywhere we looked, everywhere that we could get fresh vantage points, like that might have been on some portion of Ole Miss's campus, we saw scenes that looked like this. But let's get back out to Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell. She's been in Oxford, Mississippi in the lead up through and now beyond the storm. Brandy, what's the latest there today? I mean, you showed us things deteriorating, and it felt like it was an unsettling moment when it appears as though things would go on.
Things will get better with the ice.
Right there in
The ice is very crippling.
Yeah, well, Ian, I think right now for most people who are still in town, it's a waiting game.
all they can do right now is wait for this ice to melt. And so as we take a look around us, you can see this is just outside of the downtown area here in Oxford, where there's a couple of neighborhoods here. These homes, condos, they are surrounded by these
I feel like
huge
doing a
trees
test.
that are still glazed in thick
I'm
ice
gonna do
right
a
now. You
test.
can see they're still slumped
I'm gonna do a
over.
test.
While the sun is
Let me see
out and it's
something.
creating this beautiful look onto the trees, it makes them look almost like glass right now. It's still in the 20s. So while we're having some melting, it doesn't look like the ice on these trees are really budging much. I mean, as we just zoom in on these branches, take a look at that. That's probably about maybe a little less than an inch on this tree branch right there. So the sun is working, but it's more so doing its work on the streets, not so much the trees as much. So as you take a look down, we can talk about travel. We know slick roads has been a big issue. So you can see there's been a path made right there, but the issue will be in the overnight hours, the melting that we've had, because there's some puddles in some areas. Whatever has melted today is likely going to refreeze overnight, and it's going to slick back up over on these roads. So the main issue, again, is going to be travel. And then, of course, the people that do not have power right now. Ian was talking about the statewide power outages. In the county where we are, Lafayette County, they have just over 18,000 customers that do not have electricity. So a lot of those people are either riding out at home trying to find ways to stay warm, or they've gone to shelters. So we went over to one today here in Oxford, meeting Miss Joanne. Here's what she had to say about this ice storm versus the one they had in 1994.
Between 94 and this year 2026, we have more ice. We have more ice. More people is without heat, electricity. And like myself, I didn't have any electricity, so I was getting cold. And just praise God that my daughters, they called the police department here, told me I was out there by myself, so they came and got me.
Oh my God, that's crazy. She would have
All
roasted
right, so
that.
she was joining about 200 other people at that shelter, and that was about 2 hours ago. I assume the numbers are only going up, but it's a safety hazard out here, being in the cold. We have that unfortunate news from the state's governor. There's at least 2 deaths that have been reported because of the cold weather, the winter storm that's impacted the folks here in Mississippi. So, Ian, the story
Yeah, we never
is
lost power here
ever
either.
evolving here, and it will be until all of this ice is gone, because you still have that potential for trees to continue falling on power lines, still worsening those issues of outages that they're dealing with.
Brandy, as you're talking to folks, are people bringing up maybe their friends and family that are in more outlying areas? I mean, in Oxford, you have Ole Miss. We see how bad it is there, but it's not even listed under the top counties, at least percentage-wise, for power outages. There are several where it's almost 100% of the county are without power. Those outlying areas, that's going to be the spots where it takes the longest to restore power.
Yeah, well, actually, Miss Joanne, she was talking to me about the outages, and she said, she asked about how long could it take, and she was told, well, for the more rural areas, they're not sure. It could be weeks before they get power. Now, I haven't spoken to anyone or had anyone tell me about their family members that are in those rural areas, so we'll have to look into that a little bit more, see how they're doing. But I know we have some storm trackers that are in the area, and it's, from what I could tell, it sounds like they're trying to get into those areas and help people out. So we'll try to check in with them too.
Yeah, no question, Brandy. You mentioned the immediate hazard, but if it is weeks,
That's
especially
really
with
good,
what
Terry.
the extended forecast is
You
looking
guys
like
got a
with these
community
temperatures,
room.
that's a big time, long duration hazard.
It has a generator.
Fox Weather correspondent Brandy Campbell, thank you again for the update out of Oxford. We'll be checking back with you in a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna do a little test, and my test is, my short that I put up today. It was like about 2-3 hours ago. I only have 12 views on it, only 12, and it's about the snowman and melting the snowman. The one that we just saw on the show when the show started. Well, I'm gonna put up a video as we watch, or as we continue watching the weather. We got a couple of more videos of the weather. I'm gonna put up a video of Pokemon. I'm gonna put a Pokemon video up as we're watching, and then once it uploads, Let's see how long it's gonna take for us to get 12 viewers on that Pokemon opening. So I want to do this is like a little test to see what the algorithm is doing, because the algorithm is not pushing out my video experiment on the snowman and burning the snowman and showing the burn marks on the snow. That just makes zero sense. Why is the snow getting burn marks? I don't know, but let's go ahead and continue watching, and more about the weather. Trust me, it's gonna change. We still got a little bit more videos. Let me see how many more videos on the weather. One. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3 more videos. And then we're going right into really good stories that I pulled up. So we got a really good lineup. Like I said, the weather's really dominating the story, like as long as like here is concerned here in Connecticut, but I do have other stuff for us to watch. So let me do a little housekeeping here. Let's get this set up and let's watch. If that's me.
As
Here
a
we go.
teenager, as a kid, looking forward to a snow day, getting actually a community in Dallas, Texas, in Central Texas, is mourning the loss of a 16-year-old girl. I do want to put up these just cold temperatures around the country,
Dallas?
including there in
Chloe.
Dallas. Not something they're typically accustomed to. Some 30 degrees right now on the ground as they are mourning the loss of
16-year-old
family and
died?
friends about the death of 16-year-old
Look.
Elizabeth Engel, a sophomore at Frisco's Wakeland High School. Let's be joined right now on the ground by Fox 4's Peyton Yeager. Peyton, thank you so much for joining us. I believe I see a memorial growing behind you.
This is in
What do you
Dallas.
know at this hour?
This is close to Chloe.
Yeah, it's a quiet, somber day here in this Frisco neighborhood. Witnesses and
sledding
neighbors
accident.
nearby tried to help these two teenage girls involved in a sledding accident yesterday afternoon. Now, this memorial behind me has been growing all day. We've been seeing high school aged students, like you can see behind me, coming out, putting posters, putting flowers. Now,
What-
Elizabeth Engel's
how?
mother says her daughter had her whole life ahead of her, a sophomore at Wakeland High School here
Oh
at
my
Frisco
God.
ISD, a skilled soccer player, going through those 16-year-old milestones. She just got her driver's license. She was out with friends yesterday on a snow day. Tragedy felt in this Frisco neighborhood.
That is so
with
disturbing.
tears, a flower bouquet is added at the base of this tree. Plus, pink and green ribbons are tied up the trunk, a place where this Wakeland High School parent stopped by Monday afternoon to pray.
I just came here to see where happened the accident.
The family of 16-year-old Elizabeth Engel confirmed the sophomore at Wakeland High School died Sunday afternoon in a sledding accident. Engel's mother posted on social media her daughter was a bright light, a fun spirit, and a brave soul. Going on to say, I take comfort that she had people helping her till the end. We will never be the same.
She came back home. She was just completely broken.
Sachin Makita's daughter, friends with the 16-year-old sibling.
But it's just heartbreaking. I cannot even imagine what the family is going through.
Officers were called out to the intersection of Majestic Gardens Drive and Killian Court Sunday afternoon around 2:30. According to Frisco police, a 16-year-old male was driving a Jeep Wrangler, pulling two teen girls on a sled.
Oh.
Witnesses say the sled hit a curb and collided with a tree. Elizabeth Engel died at the hospital. Her
Oh.
friend, also a student at Wakeland, still in critical condition.
Oh my God.
She sat right across from us.
Wakeland freshman Nathaniel Lasota last saw Engel last week at school.
Oh.
He, along with several other neighborhood kids, playing outside on Sunday.
Like 30 minutes after it happened, we walked by the scene and we just saw like ambulances, like police cars. And, like 30 seconds before, they're all laughing and like screaming on how much fun they have, and just like that, it just isn't fun anymore.
Meanwhile, Engel's memory being honored across many communities, including the soccer world. Her coach of her club team, FC Dallas, also posted a tribute on social media, ending it with, "Elizabeth, our defender, our teammate, forever part of us."
Like, life is so precious, just like that. Everything could just be over.
Yep.
Now, some of the posters behind me here at this memorial are honoring Elizabeth Engel, but they also say, "Keep fighting Gracie." Gracie is Elizabeth's friend who is still in the hospital this evening in critical condition. Last check, Frisco police tell me they are still investigating this incident alongside the Denton County District Attorney's Office, and no charges have been announced. A Wakeland's principal also put out a statement that Elizabeth will be honored when the students go back to school after this weather event.
Yeah, it's such a
Back
sad
to you.
it's such a sad situation. I think that student there, potentially friends, that it was just potentially 30 seconds prior, they were giggling, they were having fun. Did they say anything about learning something from this? Because you can be out there with friends, you're a teenager, you're trying to enjoy it. Obviously, there's just so many different facets to it. Do they learn anything about making sure they're safe, especially when snow comes and it's slippery and you don't know the conditions?
Of course. And just trying to walk across this street earlier to the memorial, this is still a sheet of ice here Monday evening. And Frisco police, in their statement, put out a warning telling people to not do this, to share the dangers, and also other police departments here in North Texas also warning others of pulling behind a sled on a vehicle. Cook Children's, a hospital
That
in
was
Fort Worth,
stupid.
said that they have seen
Why are they
a rise
like? That's not sledding.
over the weekend of sledding accidents.
That's being
people
pulled
coming
by
in
a
with
vehicle.
lacerations and head trauma and broken bones. So definitely a huge.
I wonder if the
warning
driver
going
is
out
going to
to
be held
people
responsible.
after
Of
this
course, he has to
tragedy.
be.
Yeah, obviously we want to make sure people are having
That's
fun, but
negligence.
staying safe while doing so. Peyton Yeager, thank you so much for your time. Stay warm there in Texas.
Wow.
Thank you.
All right,
That
thank you
was
so much. All right,
stupid.
great conversation. Obviously, a very sad situation, an unfortunate one. There is
What a
Elizabeth
stupid way to die,
Engel, a
man.
16-year-old girl in Frisco, Texas, losing her life. And I also want to put up a post from Dallas ISD, the school district there, saying there's careful consideration, the anticipated road conditions, extreme temperatures. Dallas ISD will remain closed January 27th. All athletic events and practices are postponed. And they're talking about some of the road conditions as well. Stephen Dial has this report from our Fox 14 as well.
Monday, we saw drivers hit the roads after being stuck in the house all weekend due to the winter storm.
My car got stuck because I'm going to pick up my daughter.
Side streets are still covered in Dallas. We saw multiple cars get stuck. This driver had to get help getting traction on Skillman, lost traction again, ultimately turning around and driving down the road into oncoming traffic.
How was driving to the gas station?
Slow, really slow. I mean, we were sliding a couple times actually, but we actually made it here.
Wow, look at that.
On major highways like 75, we saw a lot of slush. On the high
Not
five
good.
lanes were clear, but could refreeze.
Yeah, it's going to refreeze tonight.
You know, pretty much just getting off work right now.
Dark trains have continued to run throughout the storm, but have run at a reduced frequency at times.
I'm glad that they're running right now.
For many drivers, they told me the ice and snow was cool, but now they're ready to get back to normal.
I hope it's gone by today, actually.
It's
the snow
not.
melts today, so I can actually get where I need to go. So, yeah, because I'm tired of it already. It's been too long.
So it's only been a day, girl. Imagine the whole season.
Fox 14 as they're taking and advising people to take it slow, especially out on the streets. I not imagine many snow tires there in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area, but they are not the only community dealing with this. This is a post from the Washington Examiner saying over a dozen people have been declared dead after this weekend's major winter storm rendered the country from the Midwest to the Northeast, closed schools, offices, airports, plenty of disruptions and delays due to that. And this was just another computer X-rad of all the cold temperatures there. 30 degrees in Dallas, 3 degrees in central Wisconsin, 7 degrees in Chicago, also 16 degrees in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to slide away for a quick 2-minute break. We'll take you down there to Tennessee after this.
Definitely the ice is the biggest problem. And over 29 people have been already confirmed dead from this storm. those numbers are expected to climb. They're expected to climb, and I hope it doesn't go as high as the last time we had a crazy ice storm that over 250 people died. So right now the number's at 29. We'll see how high it climbs. Okay, here, just jump onto this story.
A viral video seen millions of times shows a truck losing control on I-35 near North New Braunfels, smashing into a highway sign and sending it crashing down. This shut down traffic for hours.
Oh my
KENS 5
God.
reporter Mike Jimenez spoke with a man who captured the chaos on camera.
No.
Amador Rodriguez says when the crash happened, he was speechless, but managed to stay calm through the chaos.
Yeah, it was shocking, but to be honest, I kind of saw it coming, and my gut was telling me it was happening.
Amador Rodriguez says he was driving his son to a basketball game heading north on I-35 just after 8 Saturday, passing the downtown area, when a truck merged onto the highway.
He just went all the way across the lanes.
As Rodriguez continued to drive on I-35 north, he
Think
says
that
the
was a
driver of
camera.
the truck started driving erratically.
He had like hydroplaned or something on the left side, but he managed to keep it in strike. He kept going.
That caused Rodriguez to be on alert, and for safety, he decided to stay behind the truck. He says when he passed under 281, he knew something was wrong, so he decided to start recording the truck on his phone. He says he couldn't believe when he captured the truck going off the road and slamming into the pole of a highway sign just before the New Braunfels exit, causing the sign to come crashing down.
I felt panic. I felt a little bit of like, is this thing going to come all the way down? Is it going to stop? The debris fell down a little bit, but I gave it just a little bit of gas just to go.
Rodriguez says he immediately stopped recording and called SAPD, but didn't stop because he didn't want to put his son in danger. According to a police report, the driver of the truck was a 29-year-old man who said he was cut off by another driver and lost control.
No,
he was
wasn't.
taken to the hospital with minor injuries
cut off.
and is expected to be okay.
We just got to be aware of surroundings.
That was a lie.
Rodriguez says he is glad he didn't panic when the sign started falling down and says things could have been worse.
And I'm thankful, very thankful that sign did not fall on me and my son.
Mike Jimenez,
He
KENS
was
5.
not cut off. That's a bullshit lie. He told the police officers that he was cut off. Let's go back to the video.
Basketball game heading north on I-35.
It's out now. Let's see where he was cut off. All over the road. So where was he cut off? The blue card that cut him off. Where I would like to see so he's driving all over the place. He's swerving from lane to lane. He's the one that got in front of the blue. Where's the cutoff? Where did he get cut? That car was leaving. That car was going off the exit. Wait a minute. This guy is full of shit. First of all, this car did not cut him off. And this car that was on this lane that was moving over had its turning blinker on and was blinking to go to the right. And he exited. As you can see right here, you see the blinking? So he's putting the brakes because this guy's a fucking idiot. He's a liar, for one. Because this vehicle's coming across, puts his brakes. That's plenty of distance. Does not make any sense. He did not get cut off. He lost control and went boom. I'm sorry. That insurance claim has been denied. You're a fucking idiot. You Why would you lie to authorities saying that you got cut off if you did not get cut off? You actually slid and got off onto the grass and slid right into the sign. That car was like 3-4 car lengths away, right? Where the cutoff happened? I don't know where the cutoff happened. He must have been imagining things. I don't know. But let's keep it moving because we got more to watch. Train of Truth is here. Next storm's coming up this weekend. Let's put up the volume.
You're getting a live look here out over part of the city. We are all collectively digging out from under this storm here. More than 20 inches of snow fell in some spots, with a few more inches still expected today. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're inside somewhere safe and warm. I'm Courtney Cole here with meteorologist and executive producer of the WBZ weather team, Terry Ellison. Our next weather alert coverage continues. Terry, let's dive right into what happened and what's next.
What happened was a whole lot of snow. Pretty much an unusual event in that it was almost everybody got about the same amount, give or take a couple inches. If you got 18, 19, 20 inches, a few more here, a few less there, but it piled up quick and it was awfully Arctic, and you could kind of blow it around with a leaf blower if you wanted to. Here's the total so far. They are ticking up as we speak, just because we're not done yet, believe it or not. But Boston stayed at 18.9, basically 14 to say 20 inches on average, a little bit less on the South Coast as we expected. So Boston 18.9 as of right now. Actually, that was at 1 p.m. We've got a little bit of snow since then, so we probably have ticked up to about 19 inches, a little bit more. That is suddenly vaulted us above the average for the year, and believe it or not, we're about 1 inch away from making this one of the top 10 biggest snowstorms in the history of record keeping in Boston. So I think we'll probably get it done tonight, because we do have a little bit of snow left. You can see on radar, we have that one pulse coming through Boston now, and a little bit of snow that's also now reforming out in Western Mass. So between the two, and here you go. Here's a look at what Futurecast says at 6 o'clock. Looks like one final burst between 6 and about 9 o'clock tonight across Central and Eastern Mass. Probably enough to drop, say, another coating to a couple inches, maybe 3 or 4 in just a few spots. But we think on average 1 to 3 for
snowing here
the rest of today. And again, this is wrapping up about 10 o'clock tonight. And after that, you're free to clean up for good. And I promise it won't snow anymore after that, for at least for a little bit. Tomorrow, decent day, I guess. Sunny start. Good to see the sun back at least. We'll be increasing clouds, and it is going to be cold. And that's basically the story the rest of the week. We aren't anywhere near the freezing mark for the next 5 days. So there you have it. 20s. Friday, probably a little bit colder in the teens. And you know what? We may just have something more to talk about. We're watching a potential storm next weekend, believe it or not. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But yeah, basically cold for the rest of the week. Plenty of time to clean up, clean out, and get ready for whatever's next.
But I guess the guy didn't know that he was being
prepare ourselves in those days that we have. And Terry will be right back, so you stay there with us. We're going to give you a look around our area here. Snow piled quickly in cities and towns across Massachusetts, and residents have been working to clear out more than a foot of snow. We have team coverage beginning with WBZ's Louisa Moeller and the challenges that the storm brought to the town.
So far, we're getting a prediction for this weekend, 6
I'm
to 8
here in
inches
Winthrop, where what are we
for
looking
this
at?
weekend.
Just like almost every other community in Massachusetts, a ton of snow. But here, some of the streets are very narrow. And then that raises the question, where does the snow go? Well, the town obviously put in a parking ban last night. They're telling residents that they have to keep the snow on their properties. That means that the snow drifts here are getting very, very high. Obviously, there are plows coming and going, and that's pushing the drifts even higher. I spoke with one man here who said, I said, what are you going to do with all that snow on your property? He said, I'm going to turn it into an ice luge for my kids so they can play on it. We also saw some firefighters and first responders clearing off hydrants in the area. They actually had a 3-alarm fire in Winthrop this morning. And as the snow was coming down, the police had to clear out the hydrants there. So there's a few challenges facing Winthrop. The high snow, of course, the narrow streets, and a little bit of drifting coming off the water, but everybody taking it in stride, as New Englanders do. In Winthrop, I'm Louisa Moeller, WBZ News.
The snow continuing to fall here in Andover. You can see this hill behind me that we've seen kids sledding down this afternoon. 20 inches nearly so far has fallen overnight. If I take this, you can see just how deep that is, well above my knees in a lot of these untouched areas. Now, a lot of the folks around here, the sentiment we saw talking to them today, they don't remember the last time they got this much snowfall overnight, spending hours this morning clearing out their driveways, getting their cars unburied from the snowfall. The good news this afternoon, the roads, the crews on them, the plows really starting to make progress to make travel a little bit more easier around town. But of course, a lot of snowfall people are dealing with In Andover, Aaron Parsegian, WBZ News.
Aaron, thank you. And when we want to bring it back to Terry now to talk about what's ahead in the forecast, even though we are still catching our breath right now. Terry, the brunt of the storm is behind us, but you are always keeping your eye on what's next.
Yeah, and I think it's important because the what next is a pretty big what's next. And so even though it's only Monday and we're talking about the weekend, I think it's worth an early heads up. Here's sort of the breakdown. So we have basically a similar setup to last week. We have another big old Arctic high coming down, a lot of cold air across the country this week, including us. So more frigid air sort of in the bank. And here we go again, another storm forming well to the south. This one probably coming out of the Gulf with a whole lot of moisture associated with it. And those two things together usually signal a pretty big storm. Watch what the jet stream does here later this week as it's the big old dip in the eastern part of the country and gets all sort of tangled up and probably even has some sort of cutoff low forming somewhere along the east coast. And when you see that, that is a definite sign for the potential of a major snowstorm or some storm anyways. Let's take a look at, again, it's very early. We're talking about any sort of impacts Saturday or Sunday. But currently, most models, again, bring that storm out of the Gulf, emerge it somewhere off the southeast coast, and probably undergoes a rapid intensification at that point, perhaps even what we call bombogenesis. And from there is now here we go. Here's the question. Where does it go from there? And it's too early to tell. Again, we're 5-6 days out, but I feel like there are a few scenarios here that are worth discussing. First off, there's the farthest west scenario. We have a big classic nor'easter for us. And when I say classic, I mean a real classic. We're talking coastal flooding, wind, snow, the whole 9 yards. So again, just a possibility. If we could also be fringed by the storm, it could take a track just outside of what we call the benchmark for a New England storm, and that would bring some moderate impacts. But again, would be certainly a better option than the first. And finally, it's still possible it could just miss out to sea. So I think it's worth mentioning because the stakes are really high with this one. This last storm, sure, we got 2 feet of snow in some places, but it was just snow. It was Arctic. It was easy to get around, easy to move around. This one has all the things on the table: potential for destructive winds, for coastal flooding, all the things, all the nor'easter things. And again, to be determined, does it come up here? What's the track? What are the impacts? Those are things we'll be ironing out in the next couple of days. It is worth mentioning that there's a full moon this weekend, so that just exacerbates the issue. Tides will be astronomically very high starting Saturday and going through early next week. So that's an important factor to keep in mind. If you live at the coast, keep an eye on the track because a direct hit with those kind of tides would definitely mean some significant coastal flooding. So for now, I would say stay tuned, but it's not a bad idea to get prepared. Remove, you're probably doing this already, but if you've got vents, dryer vents, stuff like that of the house, try to get the snow clear and well out of the way of those. If you can, and again, this is a big task, try to get some snow off the roof. If you got a roof rake or, certainly be cautious when you're doing this. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to get as much of that snow off the roof just in case we get some more and a lot of it, in this coming weekend. And just think about, your walking areas, your sidewalks, areas that I'm sure you've already cleaned to some extent. Over the next couple of days, if you can just sort of clear as much snow out as possible, just on the slight chance that we get another big one, we're going to need a place to put all the snow.
Crazy.
So that's where we'll stay for now. We'll obviously keep you updated throughout the week as we get new model data again. At this point, we're 5 or 6 days away, but I will say last week at this time, we were 5 or 6 days away, and look what happened.
We were.
So, just a real high impact possibility here. And again, worth sort of notice here this early in the week.
But it's always good that, the next weather team is on top of it for us. Yes, we were in the same position last week, but that means for our viewers, this wasn't a shocker. They had a chance to prepare and do what they needed to do. So you just make sure you stay here with us on CBS News Boston, on WBZ.com. The next.
All right, so let's bring it back to me. Doing the study right now, and officially, I have more Pokemon views than my video of my little snowman. I'm being suppressed. That story is being suppressed. YouTube don't want to push that out. The algorithm doesn't want to push that video out. Only got 13 views, 13 on the snowman. So far, right now, I have a total of 72 views of the Pokemon. 72 on Pokemon. And the little snowman that I did the test on, 13. Help me make that make sense. It doesn't make fucking sense, man. That's why the truth is always suppressed. YouTube always suppresses the truth. It doesn't matter. My channel, other channels, like if it's something that's truth and you're doing an experiment and you're proving that the snow does not motherfucking melt, they're already putting you down the totem pole. Like you gotta climb up a greasy pole to try to get a couple of viewers to watch. 13 eyes, like 13 pairs of eyes. That's all I got. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. I don't get it. I truly don't get it. It just disappoints me because, like, I know YouTube screws around and messes around with the algorithm, but fuck, man. This is like a little study. This is something that's truthful. It's not only me that's doing this. There's other people that are doing little experiments to test what the hell is going on with this snow. And yet, I'm not getting attention. I'm literally not getting, I'm getting zero attention. Like the other videos are already like 400, almost 300 views. But then the video I did today, 13 views. In 3 hours, 13 views in 3 hours. In a matter of minutes, I already got over 97 views on the Pokemon. I'm refreshing it, and I'm already at 97. So they rather keep the people dumb than educated. They. It's just I get so mad. It's just flutter. I just get so much anger inside. But let's flip that anger and go straight to another story. This one's coming from Jason A.
Thai public health authorities have increased preparedness measures as the Department of Medical Services directed hospitals under its supervision to prepare for potential Nipah virus patients.
The Department of Medical Sciences says it is fully prepared to detect and monitor the Nipah virus after reports of a new outbreak in India, while health authorities are stepping up screening measures at airports.
Well, could the next pandemic make the height of the COVID-19 outbreak look mild? That's what some experts are predicting for what's being called Disease X.
So I am very worried that we just don't. We, as a nation, we haven't made that commitment to really fully protect.
Yeah, another bullshit.
We caught up with internationally recognized Dean of the National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor and co-director of the Texas Children's Hospital Center for Vaccine Development, Dr. Peter Hotez, who's traveling to get his take on the topic.
We have a likelihood that new pandemic threats, that people call it Disease X, are going to be rising on a regular basis.
And Dr. Hotez says Disease X, the next pandemic, could hit hard whenever it arrives.
Why do you think some experts are predicting the next pandemic will make COVID-19 look like a walk in the park?
I've written about this as well. I wrote for the Houston Chronicle a couple months back that COVID-19 is just a warm-up act. The next pandemic may not be as severe, but it could be much more severe.
The Department of Medical Sciences said the National Institute of Health is ready to detect Nipah virus in suspected patients using real-time RT-PCR tests, which offers high sensitivity and accuracy. The test can be performed on multiple sample types, including blood, respiratory secretions, spinal fluid, and urine, with results available within 8 hours. No case Nipah virus has been reported in Thailand so far. However, health officials are encouraging the public to take basic precautions, including avoid contact with animals that carry the virus, washing fruit thoroughly before eating, and washing hands after handling animals, raw meat, or animal carcasses, especially bats, pigs, horses, cats, goats, and sheep. Meanwhile, Chiang Mai International Airport has coordinated with international disease control officers to introduce proactive screening measures, similar to those used during the outbreaks of COVID-19 and MERS. These include temperature screening for all incoming international passengers, distribution of health advisory cards, and stricter checks on travel history for passengers arriving from or transiting through outbreak areas within the past 14 to 21 days. Although there are currently no direct flights from India to Chiang Mai, authorities say they remain alert for transit passengers. Anyone showing symptoms such as high fever, headache, or respiratory problems will be transferred immediately to a designated hospital under public health response plans.
After years of pandemics popping up, including SARS and H1N1 early in the 2000s,
Ebola in 2014, we had Zika in 2016, and now we've got COVID-19.
Dr. Hotez says that's why the U.S. Office of Pandemic Preparedness was created, but he believes more should be done.
Having the funds available to make countermeasures for new diagnostics, new vaccines, and at the same time, being able to support the virologists, the scientists who actually study these pathogens.
Why are we seeing so many pandemics?
It's one of the most common questions I'm asked. It's a confluence of 21st century forces. A big one is climate change, which is altering the migration of animals that can transmit these viral pathogens.
Now, no one knows when disease X, the next pandemic, will hit, but scientists say it is coming.
Especially the disease X, it's attracting a lot of attention. And I hope you have seen in the social media. But it's not a new idea. The first time we used the terminology was in 2018. The discussions were in 2017. I was just new Director General. As you know, we annually list the emerging diseases. And MERS could be one, Zika, Ebola, those we know. But then we said, there are things that are unknown that may happen. And anything happening is a matter of when, not if. So we need to have a placeholder for that, for the disease we don't know that may come. And that was when we gave the name Disease X. So Disease X is a placeholder for unknown disease. I just wanted to start by clarifying that because there is already a lot of attention. If I may, although COVID came immediately, we were preparing for COVID-like disease. You may even call COVID as the first disease X. So whether it's in health systems or even the private sector, by the way, in research and development, for instance, you can prepare for it. Actually, it started with this disease X issue with a research and development blueprint. It's a blueprint. And research and development should be at the center also to test drugs, to test other tools.
The move involves close coordination between multiple health agencies to ensure rapid diagnosis and effective clinical care. Officials stated that while no cases have been detected in Thailand, their proactive stance is necessary to safeguard the public and maintain national health security. The Department of Medical Services has designated Rajwithi Hospital, Lertsin Hospital, and Noparat Rajthani Hospital as the primary facilities to receive suspected and confirmed cases. These institutions have been instructed to mobilize specialist teams, prepare isolation wards, and ensure an adequate supply of essential medicines and medical equipment. Furthermore, medical experts are collaborating to develop standardized treatment guidelines that will be distributed to healthcare providers nationwide to ensure a unified and effective response. Laboratory readiness has also been confirmed by the Department of Medical Sciences. Through the National Institute of Health, authorities are prepared to perform diagnostic testing using the RT-PCR method, which can detect viral genetic material from blood, throat, and nasal secretions, cerebrospinal fluid, and urine. To ensure accuracy, at least 2 types of specimens will be collected per patient. Testing results are expected to be delivered within 8 hours of sample receipt, enabling health officials to initiate swift containment and treatment strategies if needed.
All right, let's keep it moving. We got another. This is a back-to-back on Jason A.
This is Representative PM Altendorf coming live at you from the Minnesota State Capitol. I am on the ground floor, and as I was leaving my committee meeting today here earlier, I noticed that there is a new display here at the State Capitol, and it's for Governor Walz. It's right here on display. So let me see. I mean, I guess I can't flip my phone, but I'll see if I can show it to you. So this is what we have here, everyone. Let me read it to you. The Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism in the State Capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. That's right, everyone. So the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers, they have given some sort of plaque here to Governor Tim Walz. So let me be the first, I guess, to congratulate Governor Tim Walz for this very special award that has come from the Satan Worshippers here in the Minnesota State Capitol. Yes, everyone, this is true. I am live, not making this up. You can't make this up. I don't know what else to say. I would think if you're Governor Tim Walz, you could choose not to have up this plaque. I don't know why a governor of a state would want this plaque, but there it is. Let me show you. Here we are live at the State Capitol, and the Satan Worshippers have thanked Governor Tim Walz. And let me repeat this. The last line says, Satan has a special place for you. I'm speechless.
New tonight, controversy at the State Capitol.
A satanic display is raising eyebrows, but the governor says he can't take it down. The group of Minnesota Satanists put up its first ever holiday display at the Capitol over the weekend. They say its members don't actually worship Satan or believe in Satan, but called the display a win for religious plurality. Republicans blame the governor for letting it go up. Representative Tom Emmer tweeted, "Is there anything Tim Walz won't do to insult Minnesotans?" Representative Pete Sauber said, "When you get a DFL trifecta, you get a satanic display at our state capitol. During the holidays, what a disgrace. Only in Walz's Minnesota."
New tonight, a satanic holiday display at the state capitol has a lot of people talking. The group behind it says it's all about the First Amendment and bringing joy to the community.
But others say that it's downright offensive.
Inside the Minnesota State Capitol, just across the hall from the Christmas tree, you'll find this phoenix made out of paper. The elaborate display features a hanging pentagram and several small cranes. A group called Minnesota Satanists put it up, and not everyone's happy about it.
The message that they're sending is quite literally to hell with the sacred.
Republican State Representative Walter Hudson finds the whole thing offensive, especially during the holidays.
You have a intentionally profane display, very obviously intended to thumb a nose at those of us who are celebrating our holiest days.
But Hudson isn't alone. Republican Congressman Tom Emmer asked on social media, is there anything Tim Walz won't do to insult Minnesotans? But Governor Walz has nothing to do with it. Fox 9 obtained the application for the display from the Minnesota Department of Administration. That agency, not the governor, approved it. The governor's office sent us a statement saying he does not agree with the display and did not approve it, but the First Amendment means that he does not police speech in the state capitol.
If there isn't a standard by which to determine what is good and what is bad, then there's no point in us being there.
And Minnesota Satanists did not want to talk with us for this story. The group, though, did send us a statement saying in part, quote, our goal was representation, bringing joy and beauty to the community, as well as utilizing our First Amendment right. We chose the state capitol because we wanted to utilize a location that allows for religious plurality, I should say. The group says it does not worship or even believe in Satan. The display will stay up through December 27th.
Christmas carols echoed through the state capitol building on Wednesday, 1 week until Christians throughout the world celebrate the birth of Jesus. But where this group sang their holiday hymns and said their prayers,
we have not come to honor that. That's why I'm not standing over there. It's not my altar.
Was next to a display they say is offensive to their faith. The Minnesota Satanists recently put this up near the Capitol Rotunda.
I think that the display is poorly timed and it was done on purpose to be an offense to Christians.
Its presence has fierce foes and staunch supporters.
What the
On
hell?
Facebook, one commenter wrote, "That's disgusting and shameful," while another
What's
said,
going on,
"Nothing is more
man?
American than
We live in
religious
hell.
freedom
I
for
told you
all."
we live
The
in
Minnesota
hell.
Satanists went through proper channels. They got a permit through the Department of Administration, which manages the Capitol complex, to set it up for 2 weeks through December 27th. According to their website, Minnesota Satanists venerate the literary figure of Satan, but, quote, do not believe they are a real entity, nor do they worship them. Still, they applied for their first holiday display inside the Capitol, which is their First Amendment right to do. GOP state representatives Jim Nash and Harry Niska came to the Capitol to celebrate the reason for the season on Wednesday, but both said there's nothing the state can or should do about the display.
Freedom of speech means freedom of speech, and it means expressing any belief, including beliefs that I think are offensive or that I think are wrong.
In St. Paul, Carolyn Cummings, WCCO News.
A Department of Administration spokesperson says granting a permit is not an endorsement by the state. In a statement to WCCO, the Minnesota Satanists said that they are glad multiple viewpoints are covered in this year's Capitol displays.
In the Rotunda, a Christmas tree for next week, as carolers belt out their reason for the season. And next to them all, a silent guest.
We have not come to honor that.
Something they say is unwanted, a symbol they don't agree with.
I think that the display is poorly timed and it was done on purpose to be an offense to Christians.
Standing next to nativity scenes and Bibles is a phoenix surrounded by paper cranes, and up top an upside down pentagram. In front, a page saying, "You are your own God." This holiday display is the first one put up by the Minnesota Satanists.
I can't change the fact that that's here. I can lend my voice to the fact that I'm not on board with the message behind it.
Minnesota Satanist congregational leader Asmodeus Sion spoke with us over the phone, telling me they're grateful that we live in a country with religious pluralism in the Constitution. Sion said the group's reason for doing this was representation.
That's
Republican lawmakers told me they don't agree with it, but understand that the display is allowed to be here.
And so, yes, it is offensive. It's to our faith.
Yeah, it's
but
offensive.
I do believe that people have their right to say
Sure,
things even that I would find offensive.
This display, just like others, had to be approved, and the group behind it had to fill out an application with the State Department of Administration.
Yo,
it
I'm
was
gonna
approved,
fill out
so
an
was a nativity
application
scene that
to
another
the
group applied for.
display.
The reason for
What I'm
that
gonna
is
put-
simple.
The government cannot establish religion. And then I'm also going to put like a big dildo next to it.
Jane Kirtley is a professor at the University of Minnesota teaching media
And then
ethics and law.
I'm gonna
If they're
say,
going to
let me
allow
make it make
one
sense.
display, then they have to allow others,
That's
as
gonna be
long
my
as they
display.
conform with whatever permit
A bunch of
process the
tampons,
government
little
established.
dildos.
But they have to be done in a neutral way.
Kirtley
it's
says
gonna be
it's
like,
as simple as the
help me
First
make this
Amendment.
make
The
sense.
group has the right
How
to
do I
be
use
here,
this?
just as others have the right to display their religions as well.
If there's any place that something like that should not be banned from, it's got to be a public space, a space that is where government operates. Because our government is supposed to be the government of the people, as all the people.
Symbols they may not like.
In a free country, the answer to one person's speech is another person's speech. If you disagree with it, then express yourself.
They may not like it, but they can respect it.
That display will be up at the Capitol through next week, and Sound emphasized that they have the right to have a difference of religious practices and the right to have a different opinion on this.
Jason A, great video, man. Let's keep the show rolling. See here.
Investigates has been digging into flight records to learn more about the aircraft and discovered a warning from the FAA. This plane comes with specific cold weather concerns.
And we discovered that this model has a history of takeoff issues in winter weather. Our chief investigative reporter, Nora Hogan, joins us tonight. And Nora, what have you found?
On Megan, we don't yet know whether this history played a role in yesterday's crash, but according to government archives, the FAA issued this directive in 2008. The flight manual for this plane, a Bombardier Challenger 600, needs to include a specific warning. Even a small trace amount of ice, frost, or slush on the wings could cause the pilot to lose control of the plane during takeoff. This directive came after 3 incidents in Canada. It's worth noting that snow and ice can impact any plane. Pilots aren't allowed to fly with ice on the wings, but an aviation expert tells me that this directive shows that this model is extra sensitive to ice, requiring additional precautions. During this morning's press conference, airport leaders say there were de-icing operations going on at the airport yesterday evening, but didn't confirm whether this particular plane was de-iced.
Uh-oh.
In an airline, there's a big structure around the decision to de-ice the airplane and all the people who are necessary for doing that. In a private aircraft situation, this is a Challenger 650 private jet, a fairly new one. That responsibility rests entirely on the shoulders of the captain to make sure it's done and done right.
It's possible that a plane could de-ice and still get additional buildup while waiting to taxi. And our expert says that there's often a long wait to get de-iced during inclement weather. When it comes to delayed takeoffs, pilots on private jets can face pressure from passengers that commercial pilots don't have to deal with. In studio, I'm Nora Hogan for 8 Investigates.
That's crazy. All right, let's keep it moving. Listen, the train of truth is here, so you definitely got to keep it moving.
Now at 6, we are getting conflicting reports here tonight after a plane crashes in Bangor last night during the storm. Bangor police say no one survived and that 6 people were listed as being on that flight.
This despite an earlier report from the FAA that said 7 people died and 1 survived. As Jackie Mundry reports from Bangor, the airport director deferring to the federal agencies.
The plane crashed due to unknown circumstances and caught fire when it hit the runway, according to the FAA. But it's unclear if weather played a factor.
There were de-icing operations occurring at that time.
Weather at the Bangor International Airport is described as heavy snow and freezing fog at the time of the crash.
Weather storms, and we prepare for this on a regular basis. This is normal for us to deal with weather events.
Also at the time of the crash, planes were landing and taking off as normal, including a Breeze Airways flight that was about to take off to Orlando.
We didn't really know. I think my wife thought she heard something.
After the crash, all flights in and out of International Airport were canceled. Those who were trying to get out say the winter weather crossed their mind when they were waiting for their flight.
We opened to get out, but because of we thought we were going to make it out right on time because the storm wasn't supposed to come in until about 8 or 9, and our flight was supposed to go out at 7:30.
This crash remains under investigation, and the airport won't reopen until Wednesday. In Bangor, I'm Jackie Mundry for Maine's Total Coverage.
Keep it moving.
And welcome back, everyone. Here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on this afternoon. We want to get the latest updates coming from Minneapolis, given the weekend that was another hard one for so many in Minneapolis. With these updates coming, that President Trump also speaking on the phone this morning to Governor Tim Walz. We got the latest updates right now on the ground from Fox News' Garrett Tenney joining us here with a full breakdown. Garrett.
Yeah, Mike, big developments with that conversation between President Donald Trump and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on the escalating tensions here in Minneapolis. Here's how the two men described that call. President Trump said it was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. The office of Tim Walz released a statement calling it a productive call and said he made the case that we need impartial investigations of the Minneapolis shootings involving federal agents.
I don't know why these people keep going to this hotel and causing. Look, this is
according to Walz's office.
Why this guy is not hit across the head with a baton or something.
He is sending border
You
czar
know,
Tom Homan
these
to
police
Minneapolis
officers,
tonight
they don't carry
to take over both
batons.
the investigation into Saturday's shooting.
I mean, if this
and
was
the
in China, they would have
enforcement operations here. So
blundered this
those
guy.
developments seem to open
Probably
the
would
door
have
to some
killed
kind of
him.
an off-ramp to
The
the
amount of hits
increasingly
over the
volatile
head.
situation here in Minneapolis, which we saw more of last night when a group of anti-ICE activists targeted a hotel where federal agents were staying. They broke the windows, vandalized the building, destroyed the lobby, and you can see for a while there was just a single Minneapolis police officer standing there in the entryway. not really doing much of anything to stop it. So federal agents had to take things into their own hands and geared up to clear the crowd out. Listen to this one agent standing in the doorway with what appears to be a bloodied hand.
That's my question for the press. Where is the local PD?
Now, eventually, Minneapolis police did show up, but the department says federal agents deployed chemical munitions without notice. No arrests were made. Only 2 people were detained and then released. These ratcheted up protests come after the Saturday shooting of Alex Preddy by Border Patrol officers, the second shooting of an American citizen by federal agents here in the past 3 weeks. Almost immediately, multiple federal officials described Preddy, an ICU nurse at the VA, as a domestic terrorist since he was armed with a 9mm handgun. But that description has started to change as more video has come out showing Preddy never brandished the weapon. Our Bill Malugin reports that more than a half dozen federal law enforcement sources say there is growing frustration with DHS and administration officials over the rhetoric and narratives they've put out in the media about that shooting, such as DHS Secretary Kristi Noem initially calling it a case of domestic terrorism, a claim that isn't supported by any of the videos that have since come out. Here's Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche this morning on Fox and Friends.
I don't think anybody thinks that they were comparing what happened on Saturday to the legal definition of domestic terrorism. What we saw was a very violent altercation, and I am not going to prejudge the facts.
We've also learned that at least some of the Border Patrol agents involved in Saturday's shooting were wearing body cameras at the time. So that video is now part of this investigation. And what isn't clear at this point is what will happen to that video and if it will ultimately be made public. Mike?
Yeah, Garrett, you did a great job over the weekend covering the protest as it was happening. Tell us, what was it like to be in the midst of that chaos just moments after this incident played out?
Mike, it was really interesting because what initially happened is you had federal agents that came in to secure that crime scene. You also had local state police come in to secure that crime scene. And the idea was that Minneapolis police said they sent their officers in to secure this crime scene so that they could make sure they gathered evidence for their own investigation into this shooting. Now, when that happened, Governor Tim Walz made multiple statements saying that the federal agents need to get out of there and that the state had the resources it needed to control that scene and to control the situation here in Minneapolis. But what ultimately happened is when federal agents finished their work there and when they did clear out, is the local and state police who were there were completely overwhelmed by the hundreds of protesters that had gathered around that intersection and essentially ran those officers completely out of the area just by sheer numbers. So you have this narrative from state and local officials that have said, we can handle the situation that's here on the ground. But time and again, we have had opportunities to see if that could be the case. And so far, there has not been any evidence that they have the will or the numbers to be able to control these crowds here that have largely
That's crazy,
been able to
right?
do whatever they
The
want.
local police surrendered to the hotel.
For us in
to the
Minneapolis. Thank you
rioters.
so
That's
much for
crazy.
the updates. Great reporting. Stay safe to you and your crew. We appreciate it as always. Thanks so much, Gary.
All right, let's keep it moving.
FBI Director Cash Patel said in a Sunday interview, quote, "You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest." Does the president believe the Second Amendment rights remain in effect even when protesting?
The president supports the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding American citizens. Absolutely. There has been no greater supporter or defender of the right to bear arms than President Donald J. Trump. So while Americans have a constitutional right to bear arms, Americans do not have a constitutional right to impede lawful immigration enforcement operations. And any gun owner knows that when you are carrying a weapon, when you are bearing arms and you are confronted by law enforcement, you
You need
are
to
raising
identify
the assumption of
that you
risk
have a
and
gun.
the risk
You're
of
supposed to
force
announce
being
it.
used against you. And again, that's unfortunately what took place on Saturday.
Will his mission continue to be focusing on illegal immigrants with a criminal history, or will it be on illegal immigration generally?
Mr. Holman will continue to enforce our nation's immigration laws, especially deporting the worst of the worst criminals in Minnesota who have committed violent offenses. And I would just remind all of you that this important work is continuing to be carried out. In just the last few days, I'm happy to provide this packet to anyone in the room. ICE has arrested multiple violent criminals, illegal aliens within Minnesota. Many of them have convictions for assault, driving under the influence, fraud. This individual here I'm looking at was an aggravated felon with multiple convictions for larceny, fraud, and forgery of checks, vehicle theft, drug possession, domestic assault, inflicting bodily harm on another, criminal convictions of larceny, identity theft, again, charged with driving under the influence. These are extremely dangerous people who Governor Walz and Mayor Fry have allowed to roam on their streets, and all the president is asking for is cooperation to arrest individuals like this and deport them from the United States of America. I'll take a couple more. Go ahead.
All right, let's keep it moving.
As we're seeing some reports that Border Patrol agents, some, not all, will be leaving the state of Minnesota as Border Czar Tom Homan taking charge of that operation in the Twin Cities. And
You need to bring more, not let go. You need to bring more ICE officers.
Upcoming government shutdown, at least a partial one, as conversations right now about funding for DHS and lots of different leaders speaking out right now about that. As I want to put up a post from Cami Mondo of Deseret News saying some deja vu this week as Senator Chuck Schumer out with a new statement saying the responsibility to prevent a partial government shutdown is on Leader Thune and Senate Republicans, saying, quote, if Leader Thune puts those 5 bills on the floor this week, we can pass them right now. If not, Republicans will again be responsible for another government shutdown. Senator Thune, the majority leader, says Senate will move forward with funding bill as one package when they get back tomorrow, that being on Tuesday, as Dems are calling for Thune to split the DHS from the full package. Let's get into this here on Live Now from Fox with Cami Mondo of Deseret News. Thank you so much for joining us. And these 6 potentially funding bills coming together as one. What's the likelihood, if at all, that we could see a government shutdown this Friday due to that?
Oh, Lord.
I think we've seen the risk of a shutdown really increase over the last few days. I mean, just last week, we had a couple Senate Democrats who said they would vote for this upcoming package, who now have all said they would not vote to advance, including Patty Murray, who is the top Democrat appropriator who actually negotiated this package. And so I think it's really highly likely right now, if they don't remove the DHS portion from the spending package, we could enter maybe a short shutdown. But even if they do remove it, they would need to get the House on board to approve the 5 spending bills that remain. So getting the House back would be a whole other issue. And so I think right now it's very likely that we do see a short shutdown.
Yeah, and obviously they're trying to split this up. The Democrats saying they will pass the 5 without the DHS bill. What else are we hearing from Senator John Thune? Because it's not so long ago that we had the longest shutdown in U.S. history, some 43 long days. I imagine senators still kind of grappling with that. The fallout from that is still very effect. Is that on their minds at all?
Right, because as we did see, Senate Democrats definitely did not have an appetite for a shutdown heading into this next deadline. That was why last week you saw a few House Democrats vote for it. You saw a lot of these Senate Democrats saying this is the best option we're going to have. Thune has not been as public with his statements since this latest ICE shooting over the weekend. He did have a statement that it is a good thing that Homan is now going to Minnesota. You have a spokesperson for Thune saying they're going to move forward with the package as it is with all 6. I'm sure we're going to hear more once the Senate is actually back tomorrow afternoon. But as of right now, you're seeing a lot of Democrats who did not have the appetite for a shutdown now saying we need to do something different or else we cannot support this package as it is right now.
Who are some key players in these conversations? Because obviously some 53 Republican senators out there. What other members are you keeping your eye on in case which way they go?
Absolutely. So, there's always going to be the kind of look at the 10 Democratic senators who voted to end the shutdown last time. But so far, all of them, except for John Fetterman, have said they're going to vote against this bill. Fetterman, I think you're going to be the only Democrat right now who will vote for the spending package as it is. But some others to keep their eye on. Susan Collins is a Republican, but keeping an eye on her as she engages in some bipartisan negotiations, probably with Jeanne Shaheen, who has always been kind of a good negotiator between Republicans and Democrats. She voted to help reopen the government in November. Of course, keeping an eye on, key players like Durbin and Schumer, who are in leadership. I think senators will really take a clue from what they do. And so far, those two are a no as well.
Are we expecting to hear from senators that have real impact of ICE and Border Patrol? You mentioned Durbin because he was at the forefront, very outspoken about what was going on in terms of midway blitz there in Chicago, in his home state of Illinois. Are we expecting the same sort of conversations with senators that have their constituents impacted really in reality to be more outspoken?
Yes, especially like, Amy Klobuchar, who is a senator from Minnesota. I expect that we will hear a lot from her, especially as she's gearing up to run for governor in that state. I think she will also be a key player. She is a no right now, but she could be a key player in those negotiations. She does really well with bipartisan talks, and she is good with working across the aisles. She may also be a key player to watch here.
Let's talk about some of the possibilities, because the Democrats, after the tragedy over the weekend in Minneapolis, digging their heels in about this. Angus King also kind of on the fence, saying he doesn't have an appetite for a shutdown, but in light of what's going on, he probably couldn't vote for this. If they do split it up and it eventually goes to the House, how complicated could that get?
It could get quite complicated. This is the most complicated appropriations bill that we see every year, regardless of what's going on. Homeland Security is just so partisan in how they want to, push their different policies in this bill. And so even if they do have to go back to the drawing board and renegotiate this, it could take a while, considering, Republicans obviously want ramped up spending for DHS, for ICE, and all the immigration officers. And Democrats now very clearly, some are saying they want to abolish it altogether. They want to decrease the spending. They want to put more guardrails on this agency. And so even if they do have to go back to the drawing board and they somehow are successful in removing it from this package, it'll take a lot of time, I think, to have to renegotiate those terms.
What else are we missing here? Obviously, if they do come together and there's still negotiation, appropriations negotiations take longer than a week. So even if we do get a partial shutdown, they could still be ongoing with optimism. What else are we missing? What else are you keeping your eye on?
Right. I think the biggest thing here is that the whole conversation around not funding DHS right now is focused on these ICE agents and how that agency operates. But even if they do shut down and this DHS bill does not get funded, it's really going to affect everything else that Homeland Security touches, like TSA and the defense and all of that. ICE itself still has a lot of money sitting in its reserves thanks to the big, beautiful bill last summer. It has millions of dollars it can tap into. So even if they do leave DHS unfunded, ICE can still operate at pretty much the same levels for at least a time. So I think just keeping an eye on everything else that will be affected in a shutdown while they fight on this one tiny aspect of the government funding conversation.
Yeah, that's a good point, a good perspective, because we even saw during that 43-day shutdown, ICE, Border Patrol, still very much in full swing with some of those immigration crackdowns in various cities. All right, Cammie, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Obviously, a busy week. We'll see with the deadline on Friday and how close we get to it, potentially another shutdown looming. Thanks again.
Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great conversation as always, talking about this 6 bills, appropriations bills moving forward. We'll see if they get split up into 5 and 1, but Senator Majority Leader right now, John Thune, pulling them together all in one package. The Democrats saying that they potentially will not vote for it. And we also heard today earlier from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt being asked about some of these conversations, negotiations there about funding the government, about funding DHS in light after the tragedy unfolding over the weekend as federal officials in the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy. Let's listen into this.
Willing to separate DHS funding from other funding bills in order to avoid a broader shutdown?
Look, at this point, the White House supports the bipartisan work that was done to advance the bipartisan appropriations package, and we want to see that passed. Policy discussions on immigration in Minnesota are happening. Look, the president is leading those discussions, as evidenced by his correspondence with Governor Walz this morning, but that should not be at the expense of government funding for the American people, which would include, as you know, Alex, FEMA funding, and we are in the midst of the storm that took place over the weekend, and many Americans are still being impacted by that. So we absolutely do not want to see that funding lapse, and we want the Senate to move forward with passing the bipartisan appropriations package that was negotiated on a bipartisan basis.
Okay, so Train and Truth is here. Let's keep it moving.
Church in St. Paul, Minnesota is considering legal action after anti-ICE activists stormed their church last week. Watch.
Renee Good. Renee, good.
Unbelievable. Joining us are Jonathan Parnell, lead pastor at Cities Church, Minnesota, who was leading worship
That was
when those
despicable.
anti-ICE agitators stormed the church. And the church's attorney, Renee Carlson, general counsel for True North Legal. Thank you for being here. Pastor, let me start with you. Now that you've had a week to reflect on what was clearly not a peaceful event that just stormed your church, what do you say to those agitators after a week's sort of reflection?
Yeah, Griff, first, thank you for having us on the show. And I just want to emphasize that the heartbeat of our church is the worship of Jesus. And so we like to say that Sunday is the best day of the week. And we gather on Sundays, like we did January 18th, to worship Jesus. And it was actually in the highest and holiest point of our service that someone began to approach me and begin to yell at me. And that was very unsettling. Several folks at that moment actually scattered, fearful that it was a shooter situation. Children were obviously terrorized. Mothers were terrorized. The group began to just kind of emerge and chant with anger. They tried to incite violence among our men. Several people were taking cover. And, I'll say now what I said then. It was a shameful moment. It's not the way.
Yeah, and some of those agitators really physically getting in your space and shoving you. That included Don Lemon. Did you have any message directly for Don Lemon?
Yeah, my message for Don Lemon, my message for the agitators, it's that one thing I think that we have in common with at least some of the people who came into our building is that we're heartbroken over what's happening in our cities right now. There's a lot of pain in our cities, and we need healing. We're asking for God to send healing, and we believe that healing comes ultimately in Jesus Christ. And so what we preach is that God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. And so my message to those agitators, my message to the governor of our state, to the state attorney general, my message to both mayors of our cities is to turn from your sin, trust in Jesus Christ, and be saved. He is our only hope.
Renee, let's talk about legal actions that Cities Church may be considering. Walk us through it.
Well, before we get to that, I just want to set the tone here. In Minnesota, we have a state attorney general who has been completely hostile in this situation, who is siding with agitators. And not only that, is mocking the church. There is absolutely no constitutional right, no First Amendment right to invade a church. At the end of this service, or at the end of this protest and ambush on the church, we had these agitators saying, "Who shut this down? We shut this down." That is absolutely unlawful. And to Mr. Lemon, there is no press pass to invade a church. This is a violation of the FACE Act. In fact, the state attorney general here in Minnesota could bring a civil action if he wanted to hold these agitators accountable. So far, we haven't seen any of that. So the church is prayerfully considering what their next steps are to be sure that Cities Church and the members of Cities Church remain protected, as well as every church across the state in Minnesota. We have to make sure this does not happen again to anyone in a holy sanctuary and a house of worship.
Do you anticipate, Renee, though, that you will take some sort of legal action?
We are continuing to talk with the clients and evaluate our options. I'll say that Cities Church is very concerned about this happening again to anyone across the state.
And Pastor, you heard Renee, your attorney, talking about the protesters, the agitators violated the FACE Act. There is some irony in this, that law in the 90s was sponsored by a Democrat, Senator Kennedy. It was a Democrat president, Bill Clinton, that signed that into law that provided free access to not only clinics, but also religious houses of worship. Do you feel like the Democrat leaders in your state have really lost sight of that?
That's a question. I'm a pastor, and so my calling is to preach the gospel, to lead my church. So questions like that, my attorney's here; she can always answer those.
Look, the hypocrisy here is thick, and I would say that what we have here is a situation where rights were violated. Those rights need to be protected. And there is a law here that can be accessed to ensure those protections. We are thankful that the Department of Justice is moving swiftly to make sure that happens. And the church will continue to evaluate their legal options to make sure that churches in Minnesota and especially City's Church are protected.
All right, Pastor Jonathan Parnell and Renee Carlson, thank you for your time. We'll continue to follow it.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so let's go ahead and bring it back to me. Give it a little break. Oof. Gonna be a couple of more shows we're gonna watch. Just getting everything resized here. I don't see any add-ons. Wasn't really looking for any add-ons, but there's nothing crazy going on. So let's we just finished watching this one. Almost done. And okay, let's come over here. Caroline Levitt again. So see what she has to say here.
But let's be clear about the circumstances which led to that moment on Saturday. This tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. For weeks, Governor Walz and the Mayor Jacob Fry and other elected Democrats were spreading lies about federal law enforcement officers who are risking their lives daily to remove the worst criminal illegal aliens from our streets: murderers, rapists, pedophiles, human traffickers, and gang members. Governor Walz and Mayor Fry have shamefully blocked local and state police from cooperating with ICE, actively inhibiting efforts to arrest violent criminals. They have also used their platforms to encourage left-wing agitators to stalk, record, confront, and obstruct federal officers who are just trying to lawfully perform their duties, which has created dangerous situations threatening both these officers and the general public and Minnesotans alike. This is precisely what unfolded in Minneapolis on Saturday morning. Obstructing federal law enforcement and inciting violence against officers is wrong and illegal. This used to be a universally accepted position in the United States. Amid the hysteria, we must remember how we got here to this moment today and what this Democrat opposition is about. Former President Joe Biden and the Democrats opened America's borders for 4 years, inviting tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over the world
To sign the Insurrection Act?
Among them, violent criminals who terrorized American communities and have inflicted devastating, permanent pain and harm on law-abiding Americans and their families.
Other presidents
Yet
used
we
it.
never
Why
saw
he can't
outrage
use
from
it?
Democrats or their
Why he
allies
couldn't
in the liberal media over these horrifying crimes against U.S. citizens.
And I think those people that are protesting and disrupting ICE, that's not a protest. It's just not.
Innocent
It's a mob.
Americans like Jocelyn Nungray,
so
Laken Riley, and Rachel
I
Moore
think all
are
those people
just a
should be
few of the
tagged.
many victims
Like their phones
savagely
should be
murdered
tagged,
by illegal alien criminals.
and they all should be
Earlier
getting
this
a
month,
message
an illegal
stating that they
alien
have
from
to show up
Mexico
at
with a
court
long
at a
criminal
certain
history
time.
who came into our
And if they
country
don't,
under Joe
if they
Biden's
don't show up,
administration threw a
then a warrant
baseball-sized
will be
stone at a
served
school bus
for their arrest.
carrying children in New Jersey and fractured the
That's
skull
how I
of
would
an
work it,
8-year-old
right?
innocent child.
I'm just
President Trump
man.
promised
My
accountability
mind
to
is
these American families by securing the border, deporting every illegal alien who has committed crimes, especially and most importantly, violent crimes. Nearly 80 million Americans voted for him to deliver on that very promise, and he is. As the duly elected president, the president is fulfilling the will of the people by arresting and removing these threats from our country in cities from Los Angeles to New York and, yes, Minneapolis. Yet Democrat leaders in Minnesota with sanctuary city policies have actively defied federal immigration law and the will of the people. And as a result of that defiance, 2 Minnesotans have now tragically lost their lives on the streets of Tim Walz's state. It is President Trump's hope and wish and demand for the resistance and chaos to end today. That's why President Trump spoke with Governor Walz directly this morning, and he has outlined a clear and simple path to restoring law and order in Minnesota. Number 1, Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, and all Democrat leaders should turn over all criminal illegal aliens currently incarcerated in their prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with any illegal aliens with active warrants or known criminal histories for immediate deportation. Number 2, state and local law enforcement must agree to turn over all illegal aliens who are arrested by local police. And then thirdly, local police must assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes, especially violent crimes. If Governor Walz and Mayor Frey implement these common sense cooperative measures that I will add have already been implemented in nearly every single other state across the country, Customs and Border Patrol will not be needed to support ICE on the ground in Minnesota. ICE and local law enforcement can peacefully work together, as they are effectively doing in so many other states and jurisdictions. Additionally, President Trump is calling on the United States Congress to immediately pass legislation ending sanctuary cities once and for all. American cities should be safe sanctuaries for law-abiding citizens only, not for dangerous illegal alien criminals who broke our nation's laws and do not belong here. We hope Governor Walz will do the right thing and continue to work with President Trump to keep the American people safe following their call this morning. Americans overwhelmingly want exactly what President Trump is delivering: strong borders and strict immigration enforcement against the worst illegal aliens, of which there are still hundreds of thousands to deport from the interior of our country. The most peaceful way to carry out this vital public safety mission is for Republicans and Democrats to do it together, and for state and local law enforcement to work together with federal law enforcement. We want to let cops be cops. You wouldn't know this continues to be a very popular policy position from the biased media coverage over the course of the last few days, but polling shows huge support for this exact thing President Trump is calling for. More than 80% of Americans favor deporting illegal aliens convicted of violent crimes. A country unable to deport criminals who enter it illegally is no country at all.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Katie McEnany on Outnumbered.
Oh, goodness gracious. Let's keep it moving. What the hell's going on again? Another shit. My goodness, what's going on? The hell is going on?
Get back!
Crazy fuckers, man. Crazy. Keep it moving.
The aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and a guided missile strike group keep rising with Iran. And we now know just how brutal and deadly that radical Islamic government acted toward protest by its own citizens. Here's the president on Air Force One from last Thursday.
We have a lot of ships going that direction just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction. And we'll see what happens. air force. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv. Trey.
Harris, good morning. Tension remains high across the Middle East as the United States and Iran continue to exchange words about the possibility of war. The U.S. Air Force announced new drills this week in the Middle East as the region waits to see what comes next. More military assets continue to flow to regional countries like Jordan and Qatar. A U.S. official tells Fox News the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group has now entered CENTCOM waters, but is not yet considered on station. With the buildup ongoing, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said this about his country's capabilities should war erupt.
We possess this extraordinary defense capabilities. We're far more prepared than before. It is our duty and responsibility to defend Iran's pride, sovereignty, and territorial integrity.
Iranian civilians are also reacting to the possibility of another direct conflict with the United States and Israel. Last summer, people in the Iranian capital saw 12 straight days of war.
As for sending ships for a possible war, I personally think it was because of their own sense of danger, because Iran has always said that it will bomb their American interest in the Middle East. And I myself, as a citizen, do not say that I agree or disagree with anything, but I believe it is with our right to defend ourselves.
As the drums of war beat, we are learning new information on the protests earlier this month that sparked the current situation. Time magazine reports the death toll from the demonstrations could be as high as 30,000 people. Iranian officials rejected that number once it came out. Still, we know for a fact that tens of thousands were injured.
Early hours of Friday, January 9th, a large number of patients came to the hospital, all because of them suffering from eye rupture. Some of them had been injured in both eyes. There were a lot of eye injuries. Until Saturday, over 70 patients came to the hospital, plus 196 patients that we've sent to the eye hospitals across the city with no prior coordination. In total, around 1,000 patients presented to the hospital.
A lot of uncertainty in the days ahead, but we do expect to slowly get more information about the demonstrations earlier this month. The internet blackout across Iran remains. Harris?
Trey Yingst, thank you very much.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host, Harris.
You know, I always scream when I see Emily. I always have to scream. Let's see. What else we got here? Okay, we can watch this. A little liberal hive mind.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Holy friggin' moly, folks. We've been hearing a lot about these underground networks of Antifa scumbags that have been collecting license plates and tracking down ICE officers in these massive groups, these online Signal and Telegram groups. And well, now it appears many of these groups have actually been infiltrated. Ex-journalists like Cam Higbee and 0 Hour 1 have actually infiltrated and gained access to all the chat logs, all the spreadsheets, and all the information.
A lot of
freaking moly does it put all of this stuff into absolute clear perspective. What we are dealing with here is well-funded, organized domestic terrorism and intimidation campaigns. And you know, again, the left wants so badly to blame Donald Trump. It's Trump's fault. It's ICE's fault. But this, my friends, this that is going on, this is the problem. Let me show you guys what's happening. And of course, let's go ahead and talk about it. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks, let's start off with this from Cam Higbee. He writes, Minneapolis Signal infiltrated. I have infiltrated the organization Signal group chat, groups all around Minneapolis with the sole intention of tracking down federal agents and impeding / assaulting and obstructing them. Buckle up, all will be revealed. Each area of the city has a signal or several signals. Let's start with a screen recording of all the members of the South Side group to start.
Yeah, I watch whatever I come across here. But other than that, I'm not searching for it or for it. I'm not trying to give it energy.
And then following this, we got another massive infiltration, this time from 0 Hour 1. And I urge you guys to follow his X account and see what's being released here. And how the people organizing these signal groups are in full-on panic mode right now, but I just want to show you guys this particular post. What you see here is a database of sorts. Let's call it a spreadsheet for now. It's basically acting like one. These are the license plates that they're collecting. It says all plates with the plate ID, the reports, plate issuer, and then the plate status, their status, whether it's been identified as either highly suspected ICE or confirmed ICE. And this, of course, fits directly with what we've been watching and what we've been covering. You see how ICE agents are being followed everywhere, even sometimes just a random person driving an American SUV posts a video online of them being tailed and followed by a bunch of green-haired freaks. The chaos is being organized and manufactured, and we've already seen top Democrat connections. We just exposed yesterday how a Tim Walz campaign strategist was allegedly in charge of one of these signal groups. You know, time and time again, the Democrats want you to analyze everything that's going on within an ideological vacuum. They want you to ignore all the surrounding circumstance, but how could you? It's obvious what's going on here. It's highly organized. The chaos is manufactured. I mean, take a look at the scene from one of these ICE operations from yesterday morning.
You guys suck so bad. You're gonna be in so much prison. I'm going to the sidewalk right now. I'm going there right now. I keep saying, go ahead. Keep saying it, yeah. Stay away from the vehicle. Like, come on. Get out of here. Fascist murderer. He's worse than hell.
Keep following them. That's the shit, you know what I mean? Like, what are they proving? What are they doing?
Everywhere they go, look what ICE has to deal with. It's
Like,
unfreaking believable. A massive crowd of agitators at every single operation. Their vehicles have been put in a database. They're being followed everywhere. And when they start an operation, you got a massive group of complete freaking psychos who are getting in their way, obstructing them, blowing whistles nonstop. And that, of course, is the exact chaotic scene that led to the Alex Preddy incident, which, of course, could have been easily avoided, right? These are not peaceful protesters. They're showing up as a mob, and they're obstructing federal authorities. And in many cases, they're assaulting them.
Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back! You mother!
But the left wants you to omit all context, all nuance, and just jump to the conclusion that Alex Preddy was indiscriminately murdered by ICE Gestapo for literally no reason. It's absurd. This is the reality.
What sticks out to me from covering these protests here for the past several days in Minneapolis is just how organized these protesters are. We talked about the ICE watch group. These people have spotters, Sean, all over the city. So they see who pulls in and out of the federal building, whether they're ICE agents or not. They want to track you down. They want to put you in a database, and then it's shared according to DHS sources through signal chat. So that's what sticks out to me about this. They're angry, they're motivated, and they have a message for these ICE agents that they don't want them in the city of Minneapolis. And I think it's important to point out, too, as you have, when you're talking about who these neighbors are, I asked those protesters, you're here to protect your neighbors. We hear it from the governor. We hear it from the mayor of Minneapolis. Who are the neighbors? I asked a few of the protesters. Are you here to protect the guy who DHS says was in the country illegally, that is wanted for sodomy, for murder? And they say, no, that is not true. They're taking, American citizens into custody. So no matter what you say, no matter what the facts are from DHS or from whatever side, they don't want to hear it. So that's what we've been dealing with on the ground. Things do escalate. And then 1 minute it's okay. You blink and it's a different story. The smell of tear gas ongoing here in Minneapolis, Sean.
And once again, I maintain the left has taken protesting too far. They've stretched the definition. It's now become organized chaos and obstruction. Now the call is to mob ICE agents to fight ICE. They're engaging in black bloc tactics on the ground. And Minneapolis, obviously, is the worst offender. It's the mecca of Antifa, it appears. It's not actually Portland. And that's why, as I've been saying, the chaos is unique to that state. It's completely out of control. And in a way, it's totally controlled. It's organized. It's funded. It's being led by top Democrats. And what's crazy is that people are falling for the psyop. I hate to say it, but the Democrats are winning the PR battle with this stuff, when in fact what's going on should be the undoing of their entire party and political movement. I guess emotions are a hell of a drug, man, a hell of a thing. It's absolutely crazy how irrational people are being in analyzing the situation. One person is killed due to his own poor decision-making skills after having his brain warped by all the left-wing rhetoric. And now I guess people are getting behind the standard that these ICE operations need to stop. I guess just leave all the illegal criminals, all the criminal organizations and cartel gangs, just let them embed themselves in American cities. You're being emotionally manipulated. You're being blackmailed, frankly, and I don't get why that's so hard to see. I get it's sad that one individual died because he chose to bring a firearm and obstruct ICE agents and then attempt to fight them off. It's an unfortunate situation. But if you get so wrapped up in the partisan propaganda that's being pushed based on that particular story, if you fall for the narrative the Democrats are setting here, you're enabling and supporting what is definitionally a terrorist anti-federal government operation that is protecting criminals, the worst of the worst, and frankly endangering everyone, including endangering Alex Preddy. I mean, wake the hell up. All of this is coordinated. It's part of the plan. They're doing it on purpose. And if you can't see it now, well, then I don't know, maybe we just have irreconcilable differences. We just see the world differently. I guess some people want to be ruled by psyops. They want to be ruled by mob chaos. And I simply just cannot support that. Not in good faith. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right. So let's bring it back to me. And it's just about to wrap up the show. So we're going to go to the last video. And that one, it should be a good one. It's coming from Melody King. So we got her for the last video of the show. And I like Melody King. I like I said, I like her reporting. I like her energy. Very good energy. Tries to stay positive. And a lot of people come down on you and like on anybody on YouTube. Once you become a little successful, people try to pounce. But with her, I just like she keeps it firm, and she keeps like really focused in what she's doing, and I like how she and what she does and what she brings up together, and I like watching her. So we're gonna watch her together. So Melody King, you got the last video of the night.
That our capital was dedicated to pagan gods, the fallen. The founding fathers were not here to establish a free country honoring God Almighty. They were here to bring the pagan temples back to life. That's why the city feels and looks like ancient Rome. That's why the architecture is reminiscent of ancient temples. Now, again, going back to the founding fathers' design of the city, when you look at Washington, D.C. from above, the layout of the city forms a pentagram, a demonically charged circuit board, if you will. Even looking from the Washington National Monument to the Capitol building, you can see it forms a pyramid with an occult owl, which of course is in tribute to the god Moloch or Baal. It also has ties to the goddess Athena in Greek mythology or Minerva in Roman form, otherwise known as Lilith. She was the god of wisdom and warfare, and she was often seen with an owl, but it is more commonly associated with the god of child sacrifice, Moloch. This is also why at Bohemian Grove, we see a giant statue of an owl, and at the base is where they, meaning, our government leaders and the elite, lovely people, gather and make sacrifices.
We have always lived under a great deception. And this goes back to how our country was actually founded. We were told these were men of God, Christian men who loved the Lord, and they wanted religious freedom. They wanted freedom from Britain. But that is the story we were taught. But the proof and documentation shows something completely different. Many are wondering, what happened to the America I knew? I can't be proud of this country anymore. All of these different things. Well, if you actually knew the history, you would realize everything that you believed in, everything that we were fundamentally groomed to believe in, well, it was always propaganda. Now, this is Ashley Hayes, friend of the show. She is one of the people, actually the first person that woke me up to all of the deceptions throughout the world and ties it back to the Bible, ties it back to understanding that we are in a spiritual battle. This to date, she has many great videos. Okay. And I will be linking it below in the description box. And I'll remember to do a pinned comment because I want you to watch the whole thing. But I just want to play some of this because if you don't know these facts, if you don't know these things, it might blow your mind, but understand this is real. This is the truth that they want to hide from us. We've seen it with NASA. Now they're going back to the moon. With all this space that we live on a globe. Guys, the Bible, God says that the earth is fixed and immovable. Not only that it sits on pillars, right? And with that there is a firmament that separates the waters from above and the waters from below. Anything else is demonic doctrine. Anything else is Big Bang evolution, everything in order to deceive us so that we do not know that we were created by God, that we are special, that he is looking over us. They want us to believe we're going hundreds of miles into space. We're turning and twisting and all of these things. And we're just this big void. And we came from a Big Bang and we evolved from monkeys. But understand, the Big Bang is directly tied to a globe. Every civilization before 1952, including our encyclopedias, depicted a biblical earth with a firmament. This was known until they did another great reset, not a space agency when they were founded, and they did the great reset, NASA. So while this may be new to you, understand it's biblical. And what's going to be uncovered here with Freemasonry and who really founded us, you are going to start to peel back the layers and understand just how deep all of this really goes.
What if I told you that the very foundation of America wasn't about liberty or freedom at all, but instead a carefully laid blueprint intended specifically to summon the Antichrist and usher in a Babylonian golden age? Look no further than the Great Seal on your dollar bill, the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, Novus Ordo Seclorum. It's all been there in plain sight for over 200 years, waiting for the time we are living in right now. For centuries, they've hidden it right under our noses. The plan to usher in an enlightened new world, a spiritual golden age, under an incarnated demonic spirit, an ancient pagan god. And the plan didn't start recently. It's an ancient satanic agenda from before the flood, kept alive through the years and finally set into motion with America's Luciferian founding fathers masquerading as angels of light, operating under "In God We Trust," operating under the guise of Christian men founding a Christian country. The worship of Osiris, otherwise known as Nimrod, otherwise known as Apollo, didn't die out in the sands of Egypt or the ruins of Babylon. It went underground. It was hidden, passed down through secret societies who kept it alive for a time like right now. Most people are aware that secret societies exist, but they fail to realize the depth of impact that they have on our country and our world. The symbols, the rituals, the oaths of modern secret societies, such as Freemasons, trace straight back to ancient times. It's just a mask for an occult lineage that has been steering world events for thousands of years, waiting for the moment that they can crown their final king, their master and god, Apollo, Nimrod, the resurrected Osiris. Freemasonry, in essentially Cliff Notes form, is a secret society that's roots go back to Egyptian and Babylonian pagan god worship because, well, like the Bible tells us, there's nothing new under the sun. This occultism, this rebellion to God, just changes form through the years. Freemasonry is not a Christian good old boys club that does charity work for the community as they want you to believe. It is a gateway to the occult, a stepping stone to sorcery and witchcraft that leads to Satanism. Like Manly P. Hall, a well-known Freemason and author, says, man is a god in the making. And as he unfolds in the degrees of the lodge, he learns the mysteries, here it is, of his own divinity. Freemasonry claims to be open to all faiths, but at the highest degrees, they openly admit that they worship Lucifer. Now, during the Crusades of the 11th century, the Western Knights that were sent by the Catholic Church were exposed to many forbidden doctrines that challenged their belief, especially the one about Satan tempting Eve in the garden. These new beliefs revered Lucifer as the light bearer or the true liberator. They were told that Satan was the one that was actually trying to help and educate mankind. And in doing so, they labeled Yahweh as the oppressive enemy because he was a tyrannical leader keeping Adam and Eve enslaved. These new beliefs stated mankind was being hidden from knowledge that would liberate them, allow them to see the gods within, allow them to ascend to their true self. At the center of these beliefs was the worship of Lucifer, as he was their true liberator or the true God. This is known as the Luciferian doctrine, and it is an ancient Babylonian religion that is essentially the core, the foundation for every New Age belief, every secret society, Gnosticism, and even transhumanism. Returning from the Crusades and wanting to explore these new enlightened beliefs further, the Knights knew they had to do this in secrecy for fear of persecution. So what did they do? They retreated to hidden circles, secret meetings. And what emerged from those gatherings? The seeds of secret societies that we know today: Rosicrucians, Freemasonry, Jesuits, the Knights Templar. Freemasons go through oaths and rituals in order to advance in this club. And so for those out there who have a mild viewpoint of this society, because maybe a family member is a part of it and, you know, they're a nice person or a good person, let's look at what actually happens just at the first degree.
Just a good old boys club. No, there's a lot more going on than ECI.
I'm going to skip this part because it's amazing, but I want to continue with what she has to say with this. But understand, guys, this isn't just, you know, pie in the sky conspiracy. This can be proven and confirmed through documentation. We're actually looking through things and not just what we were taught in our history books.
Now, propped up as good men, as devout Bible-believing patriots founding a Christian nation, were our founding fathers, until you realize that most of them were ritual Freemasons. And for the few that weren't, such as Thomas Jefferson, well, we'll get to him in a second. Just some of the Freemasons include George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, Paul Revere, Joseph Warren, Benedict Arnold. In addition, at least 13 signers of the Constitution were Masons. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated President Lincoln, was also a Freemason.
This part is really good.
What actually happened?
I'm liking
Now,
the-
even though
I like
Thomas
the
Jefferson
thing.
wasn't an actual Mason, let's take a deeper look
He's
into
really
his
good.
beliefs. Jefferson actually printed his own Bible after literally taking a knife to the Word of God and removing what he didn't like. He removed not only all the miracles that Jesus performed, but also the resurrection. He even removed the book of Revelation. He believed Jesus was just a moral teacher. He denied fully his deity. Jefferson also denied the virgin birth and the Trinity. Thomas Jefferson, although he wasn't a Freemason, he was not a Christian man. Now let's take a look at Benjamin Franklin, who was a Freemason. Now, not only was he a Freemason, he was also a part of the majority of the secret societies during his time, one of which was called the Hellfire Club, where they actually joked that the devil was the president. This club was a well-known underground ritual murder and sex cult that were involved in abductions, dismemberment, and even cannibalism. Even more revealing was that during restorations of his home in the 90s, more than 1,200 bones were uncovered in a secret, windowless room in the basement. The bones were, of course, confirmed to be dated from around the time that he lived there. Of course, the official narrative that they tell us is that it was just for science. The bones included surgical marks and drill holes in skulls, which were just clear signs of medical study, they say. Alongside the human bones were even found remains of animal species. Oh, but that just indicates comparative anatomy experiments. It's just science, guys. I'm sure that it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that he was a part of satanic cults, societies that literally pledged their loyalty to Lucifer. I'm sure that it's just a coincidence and it was just for science. George Washington, unfortunately, as well, was a satanic Mason. Now, if you walk into the Capitol building and look up, you will see what is called the Apotheosis of Washington, a mural depicting George Washington rising to the heavens amongst all the pagan gods, appearing godlike himself. This is the deification of George Washington. That's what apotheosis actually means, when a mortal is elevated to the status of a god. Now, surrounding him and all the pagan gods are 72 satanic pentagrams. Take notice also of the intentional hand positions, reminiscent of Baphomet. The same position takes place again in multiple statues and depictions of him. I don't think that's a coincidence. The Founding Fathers' vision for America wasn't a nation of political freedom. It was an establishment that continued ancient occultism, ancient pagan god worship, one that would usher in a new world that aligned with their enlightened Luciferian beliefs, ultimately giving rise to their final king, their god, Nimrod, Apollo, the resurrected Osiris. This vision also ties directly into Francis Bacon's 1626 novel titled New Atlantis, which envisions society being governed not by kings, but by a secret hidden priesthood guiding the masses towards a secret spiritual destiny. This utopia was planned for America, and not coincidentally, Francis Bacon also helped orchestrate the 13 colonies. Well-known Scottish Rite Freemason Manly P. Hall, whose writings include Atlantis, the Gods of Antiquity and the Myth of the Dying God, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and The Secret Destiny of America, claimed that the rise of the Western world was no accident of history, but the deliberate fruition of an ancient blueprint. America was destined to emerge as the new Atlantis, engineered specifically through a dark esoteric design, an enlightened golden age, where the old gods would once again walk among men. This new order of the ages, or Novus Ordo Seclorum, has been in process for centuries, a dark, silent movement, an invisible order, quietly being pulled towards its culmination. Each event on the world stage is a sacrifice, a gradual step towards the emergence of the new world through intentional and deliberate chaos. Ordo ab chaos, or order out of chaos, is the motto of 33 Degree Masons, and it is essentially problem, reaction, solution. It is justifying any means necessary to usher in their ancient agenda. And
So I'm going to pause it right there. Like I said, there's a lot more to it. This is about 30 minutes, and this is just part one that she's published so far. She has not done part two, but let me show you something really quickly.
That our capital was dedicated to pagan gods, the fallen. The founding fathers were not here to establish a free country honoring God Almighty. They were here to bring the pagan temples back to life. That's why the city feels and looks like ancient Rome. That's why the architecture is reminiscent of ancient temples. Now, again, going back to the founding fathers' design of the city, when you look at Washington, D.C. from above, the layout of the city forms a pentagram, a demonically charged circuit board, if you will. Even looking from the Washington National Monument to the Capitol building, you can see it forms a pyramid with an occult owl, which of course is in tribute to the god Moloch, or Baal. It also has ties to the goddess Athena in Greek mythology, or Minerva in Roman form, otherwise known as Lilith. She was the god of wisdom and warfare, and she was often seen with an owl, but it is more commonly associated with the god of child sacrifice, Moloch. This is also why at Bohemian Grove, we see a giant statue of an owl, and at the base is where they, meaning, our government leaders and the elite, lovely people, gather and make sacrifices.
So like I said, it goes deep, it goes far. She has every video she does, especially the long form ones, even the short form ones she does here on YouTube are amazing. Again, that link will be below. Make sure you check it out, guys, because you have got to open your eyes to all the deception that's going on. But if you don't know the history, if you don't know where it started, and this isn't even where it started, this is just understanding America and how our country was built, even our Congress. And if you don't know, do you know what a group of owls are called? Okay, we're talking about Moloch. Well, they're called a parliament or Congress. So with that, guys, make sure you check it out. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell over here. And I will see you very shortly.
There you go. And thank you, Melody King, for a great upload there. I mean, I'm looking forward to part 2 on that series. Very interesting. And I'm going to get going myself, too. Where did I put my telephonos? Here it is. I just want to check real quick how many views I have on my shorts here. So we're gonna go to the shorts. That's me. And so far, I have... Wow, this is so sad. The Pokemon, I have 190 views. The little snowman that I put up testing it with the fire, only 14 views. That is so sad. Not sad for me, sad for the people, because that's the censorship. That's how they censoring us. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. That's just amazing. Amazingly crazy for sure. Let me just line this up perfectly. Come on. All right. Take a screenshot of it. I can't believe he only has 14. And I just put that Pokemon video up. And it's just like Pokemon. And I think, I don't know if it's the title. I don't know what to do to get traction and for people to watch, because it's very important to see that I hit the snowman with fire with a torch and a lighter, and all I did was leave burn marks on the snowman. It's just fucking crazy. If you get the opportunity, go back and watch it, give it a like, because I gotta get the algorithm to start passing this video and getting to the right people to watch it, because there's other people that are doing this too. They're testing it, and it's like it's not melting. And this video, I did it before them. I did the video last night during my show, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get this video to get more likes and to get more views, because it really needs attention. And the fact that Pokemon, I just put it up right now, and I'm still climbing. Look, I'm at 191 and went up one viewer more on the Pokemon, and the little snowman, 14 views. That's crazy. But yeah, it's crazy, Chloe. It's like they censor the shit out of it too, because it's the truth, and they don't want, like, Google's gonna protect itself, because they don't want the truth to get out, so they're gonna suppress it, and not many people are gonna be able to watch, and that just sucks. But anyhow, I'm getting off of here. I've been on here for almost 3 hours, and I got a lot to do tomorrow. I got 2 appointments, and they're gonna be it's pretty far distance for one of my appointments. So yeah, I'll be back here tomorrow 7:30. So have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Stay safe tonight. Stay warm. I know it's pretty crazy with the temperatures and with the ice. Hopefully, many people get their power back soon. But if not, stay bundled because it's cold. Good night, everyone.